Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, inching closer to the Week 7 matchup between the Eagles and the Vikings this week. That's the 4-2 Eagles versus the 3-2 Minnesota Vikings. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Doing well. Yeah, a little bit of a technical issue, but we'll bounce back. And sorry to be late for a few minutes. Apologies to all the people, but thank you for waiting. Is everything sound correctly?
Everything sounds good, John. I think everything everything sounds good. Everything looks good. And we got the great John McMullen with us. That's the most important thing. So, Johnny Mac, let's dive right in, man. We got John Stolnis coming up here a little bit. We're gonna dive deeper into this game this week. We'll look at we also have some defensive topics today, John. I know you've wanted to talk defense. Well, I got some questions there, so we'll talk about that. But let's start with the Wednesday recap yesterday, John. A lot of people spoke after practice yesterday. You got some updates on the injury front with players practicing. I don't know yet if we know about their game status outside of Jalen Carter. But what did you see yesterday, John? A big Wednesday practice before the Week 7 game.
Yeah, I don't usually put a lot into this, so I probably shouldn't, but I am anyway. I'm going to put a lot into it. Like I did feel like people talk all the time. I'm like, I don't care about feel at practice, but I felt like a different vibe. They put the pads on. I felt a more serious vibe. Everybody's at their line. Like, last couple of weeks, a short week, it's off, and guys are lost and coming off losses, and it's sort of like, I'm angry. I don't want to talk. Saw a lot of professionals yesterday standing at their locker. I just saw a different mindset and the realization that now's the time to sort of stop the nonsense and kick it in. That's, maybe I completely misreading the situation, but from that perspective, I thought it was a good day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Even better, more concrete is the fact that Landon Dickerson and Quinyon Mitchell were out there stretching at least, and that's all we were able to watch. That's another thing. They had a long practice, but they kicked us out after stretching. So it's like they're ultra serious about this game. Now, Landon and Quinyon were both limited, so there's no guarantee they're going to play, but the fact that they're out there is a very positive step. Jalen Carter's going to play. I kind of knew that from, the moment he didn't play in New York. He was going to play this game, but so that's not a surprise. He was a full practice. He flat out said he was going to play. The other guys, it's more iffy, but as I said, specifically with Quinyon, with Landon, it's like if you give him the opportunity, he's going to play. I think we all know that. He's got a high ankle sprain. Should he play? That's another question. Quinyon, that one surprised me because, again, it's a cornerback with a hamstring issue. And that's either an indication that it really wasn't that serious in New York, North Jersey, or, I can't imagine they would push a cornerback. So even in what they feel is obviously I don't want to say must-win situation. By definition, you're 4-2 in first place. Right. There's no must-wins this early in the season.
I said it yesterday. I get why it's not a must-win, but I said it yesterday. This team's got to win this week, I think. I really do.
Yeah, I think they're approaching it, again, like it's as close to we need this game to right the ship. And if we don't get this game, things might go in a negative direction type of thing. So, I hope they're not pushing them.
John, I've been doing this show with you for almost 2 years now. The vibe, I wrote on my board.
Right, they're showing up.
Social media buzzword, though, John. Devin Caney puts it out. She's like, "Oh, the vibes in the locker room." So I wrote down what happens to talk to you about it. Now I never planned to use the word vibe.
I love Devin. She used to work with. I love her dearly, and the TV guys. I love them all. But yeah, I don't group me in that group.
Well, John, you hit me with the vibe.
The vibe. Yeah. Well, now you said why I shouldn't do that. Yeah, because I think it's silly for the most part, and it's like those guys they have a different medium. They're sort of doing a different thing. They play up that aspect of it. I get it, but yeah, I don't generally sense that big shift. I sense the big shift.
Yeah, right.
Just a more serious, more buttoned up, like this is ridiculous type environment.
Right.
It's been going on.
Which could also, there's a positive to that, but there could also be a, why this is close to a must-win game. I do think if you flounder here, John, and you lose to the Vikings, things are going to start the questions are going to be asked, and they're going to get bigger, and the pressure.
Well, the questions have already been asked, and I don't think it's about the questions; they're already being asked. But, I think they truly believe, and this might be the bad part of it. Like they truly believe there's no issues with all the things, and I don't want to lump everybody into the same category, but all the things I get asked on a daily basis about the creativity and you got to scheme guys up. Like they don't believe that. They believe they're putting themselves behind the sticks and shooting themselves in the foot, and that's what makes them predictable. And to a certain degree, I mean, every if you think about it from the standpoint, I asked Jalen, I may have gotten the longest answer out of Jalen Hurts in recorded history.
Yep.
And that was about the meeting that they had Monday with Kevin Patullo. But later he gave me another long answer when I was talking about Lane and the predictability comment. Like everybody's predictable when you're 3rd and 13. Everybody. Like you're if you have confidence in your passing game, you're going to try to go get the first down.
Right.
Even if you don't, you might draw it. You might run a draw play. But for the most part, the defense knows what you're going to do. So that makes it easier for the defense. That part is true. And I asked Kevin Patullo this back on Tuesday. I said, yeah, I get it. I didn't ask it this way, but essentially, and Kevin picked up on what I was trying to say. I didn't phrase it the best way possibly, but I was like, all right, I get it, the behind the stick stuff and the off schedule and the on phase, off phase stuff. When you're on phase, are you happy with the adjustments and the creativity? And he said, yes, when things are going well. And that's the point of the, they're Jekyll and Hyde. They're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Then they get a first down. They're very efficient.
Right.
Red zone, number one. Yeah. So to a certain extent, I get it, but I don't think people would agree with that. Like, because but that bottom line, I think the people that don't like it just don't like the offense. And I get that. I'm in that category. I don't like it. It's ugly. It's not aesthetic. It's not exciting to watch. But I'm at the point where, all right, that doesn't matter when it comes to winning games. Like they won a bunch of games last year, more than anybody else. By definition, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They won the most important games of them all. And it was still ugly. It was ugly compared to the best offenses in the NFL. It was often unwatchable at times, the same as this year. So I think if you take that out of the equation and understand they're not trying to be pretty, they're not trying to attract you at the end of the bar at 2:00 in the morning. They're just trying to be ruthlessly efficient, which they haven't been, but that's what they're trying to get to. And that's where I felt the vibe, like we're more serious,
right?
The physical aspect of
vibe, and then there's a buttoned up professionalism.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I get what you're saying.
So that's what I kind of saw yesterday. And on the other hand, and again, I'm not there, but I did see O'Connell, who is typically very engaging, and all of a sudden he was getting snippy when he was getting the JJ McCarthy questions.
I saw
which
that.
I don't think I've ever seen him snippy before. So, if you counteract the two pictures, I think it's early, but I think this is shaping up for a good week for the Eagles.
Good week for the Eagles. We'll see how that shakes out. Johnny Mac, John, the offense has talked like another meeting, and I'm not going to fall for it again.
Meetings, baby, meetings.
They do all seem to have some sort of I don't know. I assume obviously they're holding on to what it is, but Saquon's like, I'm not going to give too much of the scouting report, but I'm excited to get back out there. Patullo, Jalen talked about it. Everybody talked about this offensive meeting, which to me appears like they're going to make a shift. I don't know where, or I don't know how, or I don't know what that means. Have you picked up on any of that and your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they had it. Like, I have a meeting at 9:20 with John Stolnis. He just popped in. Everybody has meetings. That's the funniest thing in the world to me. That's all NFL teams do all day. They meet. So it's the only thing different is they were in there Monday because they had a mini bye week and they had an extra day to play with, and they come off a loss. So you're not going to say, hey, maybe if we're 5-1. Maybe, obviously if you're 6-0, you might tell your players, take another day. We'll have a normal schedule on the Sunday week. So about the only thing different about that meeting was that happened on Monday. You're always going to talk now. And then the second part, I should say 2 parts, and they had the coaches had extra time. They're the ones who have the extra time. So they had a little bit of an opportunity to do more of a self-scout and look at the bigger picture instead of typically when you just go from week to week. So, this week it'll be Minnesota. As soon as it's over, they'll go New York Giants, your game prep on a normal week. So the coaches had a little bit of extra time. So those are your minor shifts, and that's really the only difference. And then Kevin described it as a very good meeting, I think was his term. And the guys have gotten behind that. As far as a shift in philosophy, yeah, I mean, you don't shift in, if anything, they want to get the running game going. That's what they want to get.
Yep.
That's what they want to get going. Jordan Mailata said, if we get the running game going, everything falls into place. Period. That's what they want.
Yeah. I've been McMullenized on it. Somebody messaged it to me yesterday on Twitter, the talking about the offensive meeting. I'm like, I'm done buying into the meeting talk, my friend. Let me see what they do on Sunday.
The meetings.
Yeah.
The meeting talk is great.
It is what it is. We got John Stolnis in the room. John, one more question for you here before we get to John. Isaiah Rodgers popped up yesterday. Our buddy Ed Kratz, the great Ed Kratz, put out a report that they were in on Isaiah Rodgers, which by the way, it isn't new. I mean, you've talked about that here, that you were most likely they were in the conversation. They just didn't want.
Oh, they were in. They wanted him. Yeah.
So, but that comes out yesterday, and I don't know. Maybe this is the sinister, mind of myself, but I'm like, who put that out right now? I mean, we're playing Isaiah. We got depleted cornerbacks, and now we're coming out in week 7 saying we were in the room for Isaiah Rodgers. Now, I love Ed Kratz. It has nothing to do with Ed Kratz in my eyes, but it comes out yesterday, and then Isaiah Rodgers kind of disputes it. He says, "Don't believe the media."
There's definitely a disconnect between Isaiah's camp and the Eagles camp, and what went on.
Yeah.
First of all, as far as why yesterday, because they're playing the Vikings. I mean, that's why. So you revisit some stuff. And he's having a great season, by the way. And it's compounded by the fact that the Eagles have a significant need at cornerback, and the projection that if he was here, he'd be playing the same way there, and everything's a vacuum. And that's not the case either. But he's a good player, and he'd be better than what they have currently opposite Quinyon Mitchell. So number one, that's why the timing, because they're playing the Vikings.
Right.
But from the standpoint of, yes, they wanted him back. They're the two guys they they earmarked to get back were Zach Ball and Isaiah Rodgers. They got one. They tried, from my understanding, and certainly from the understanding of Isaiah's part of the equation, they tried to lowball him. And, we thought it's not a bad thing. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
like
look,
the idea the Eagles tried to, didn't try to sign Milton Williams. They tried to sign Milton Williams before the season started, but they tried to lowball him, trying to, and Milton was like, I tell this story all the time. It's like, well, I'm going to get to play more. Fletcher retired. I'm going to bet on myself. He bet on himself, and he hit a grand slam. Forget about a home run. He hit a grand slam. He got a massive contract. He's playing well.
I didn't even think the contract was that big, What I mean,
Isaiah's wasn't. That's the difference. And remember, so I think there's there's some bad feelings on both sides from the perspective. I don't even, and that's probably a bad term, bad. The Eagles, remember, he was suspended and the Eagles signed him he was signed for an entire year.
Yep.
When nobody else would go near him. So I think from their mentality, it was like, all right, can you at least give us a shot to match the offer? And they think that didn't come. And I think from Isaiah's side, it's like, look what I did for you guys. We won the Super Bowl. I played well. And it's like, why are you trying to lowball me? And this other team came in and said, we love you. We're going to make you a starter and this and that. And the Eagles aren't going to make that. They were going to give him the first opportunity, but they're not going to say you're the starter. So I think it's just a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
But the Eagles wanted him, and they tried to get him, as they do, at the most cost-effective rate possible. And I remember I don't know the exact timing, but the days before free agency, they thought they had him. And then they said, you know what, we're gonna look when the tampering window, which I hate that term, but I'll use it. After the legal negotiating period opened, they said, well, let's see. And I think from that standpoint, the Eagles thought they'd come back to them if they got a better deal. They got a better deal, and they just took the better deal.
Yeah, right.
That's my understanding.
One of the, they just said the NFL things where sometimes it just doesn't line up, different thought processes in the two camps. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to drop your comments in the live chat or after the show down below. If you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you for listening to the podcast. Let's go to our main man, John Stolnis, who's set to join us right here on Birds 365. John Stolnis joining us now. You can follow him at John Stolnis. Read some of his Eagles work at bleedinggreennation.com. John, how you doing this morning, my friend?
Doing good, guys. How's it going with you all?
Doing well. How'd you get over the Phillies loss, John? We'll get that out of it. That's a difficult way to lose. That really is. Yeah, I feel for the kid too. I mean, look, I get that you got to make the play as a professional, but man, that's a tough situation.
And I know we're going to talk. I know we're going to talk football, but I'll just say I heard somebody describe it really well. It was another pitcher who basically was saying like he was so focused on trying to make like the perfect pitch, like his whole 100% focus was on like making that pitch to get the out and get out of the inning, that it didn't even cross his mind that a ball could be hit back to him. And so he just did what every 10-year-old little leaguer does when a ground ball's hit his way. He freaked out. And you just can't do that when you're in the when you're in the majors and you're pitching in the playoffs. But that's what happened. And I am heartened that I think most of Philadelphia is not trashing this guy, and rightfully so, not laying all the blame at his feet for the loss. But yeah, that's a brutal way to lose.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah, it really was. And maybe even tougher was the Philadelphia Eagles losing to the New York Giants on Thursday night and getting outplayed by Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterby. I don't know anybody who saw that coming. I certainly didn't see it coming, John. That was you talk about this era of Eagles football, and people are going back. When was there a loss like that? I don't think there has been a loss like that. I mean, you've had some injuries. If you want to go back to the playoff game in Tampa, and AJ's not there, and Lane's not there, and Reed Blankenship's not there, or even back to the loss in Tampa last season before the kick started and everybody was absent, so many injuries. They just lost to a bad football team who might have been more banged up than they were.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I mean, we're discounting the fact that they weren't depressed about the Phillies too. So let's factor that in.
Well, they were depressed about the Yankees.
No, I think last thing. I mean, this is why the specter of 2023 hangs like a dark cloud, even after a Super Bowl win and 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 years. This 2023 cloud still hangs over everyone's heads because that's what it reminded you of. It reminded you of that Cardinals game where Jonathan Gannon came into Philadelphia and beat a team he shouldn't have beaten, that day. And they lost a lot of games down the stretch there that they shouldn't have lost. That's when you realize, like, oh, we're watching something else now, because Nick Sirianni has always had his team ready to play. This Eagles group, unlike any other Eagles era I've ever seen, they just don't have letdown games. They don't have games where they're looking past the current opponent. They don't have trap games like we've seen, like every other iteration of the Eagles have. And I don't know that that's what that was that we saw on Thursday, that it was a trap game or that it was, but it was a letdown game. They should not have lost to that team, even as banged up as they are in certain spots. And I think Jordan Mailata said it really well yesterday when he was talking to the media. It's just like, we're not putting the effort out there. We're not, and you can see that. You can see defenders not playing with the same intensity that they played to last year. Rallying to the ball the way that they did and playing as a unit. All the changes have kind of factored into that. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there on the field on the defensive side right now, as you've got a lot of new guys trying to talk to each other, and the injuries are starting to pile up on that side of the ball. And then offensively, Jalen Hurts isn't playing well. The offensive line isn't playing well. I mean, I wish it was more, and I don't think they're being put in a position to succeed. There's a lot of different reasons why it fell apart on Thursday. And you're right. They just don't do this under Nick Sirianni. That's why it was eye-opening.
John, did it look more to you like a one-off, or do you have bigger concerns about where this team is headed in 2025?
I think that's not a question I don't think anyone can answer until we see how they do against the Vikings this week, because I would say that I lean towards it being a one-off. Yes, it's their second loss in a row. Yes, they've been outgained in all 6 of their games this year, but they've also played in their first 4 games, really. And the Broncos are a playoff team as well. 5 good teams. I mean, the Cowboys, who knows? We'll see what they are. But when they played the Cowboys in week 1, the Cowboys played really well in that game. They played 5 really good teams, 5 really good games that they happened to come out on the winning side of in 4 of them. And then on Thursday night, on a short week, in New York against the Giants, and sometimes these young quarterbacks, you don't know what you're going to get from them. Sometimes you get a game where they flash and they pop, and that's something that happened on Thursday with Jackson Dart. It's just, I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt in believing that it's a one-off and that they're going to come back after this mini bye and fix some things. I don't know that I'd say my confidence level is soaring, that's the case, but I think it would be wiser for us to give them the benefit of the doubt that it was just a one-off and that they will look a lot better this Sunday in Minnesota.
Where are you on the meeting talk, John? I don't know how quick you got in here and heard me. I'm all these guys do is meet. You go into the locker room, they got a big schedule up. It's meeting, practice, lunch, meeting. I don't think there's a more overblown thing in professional sports than NFL meetings, unless, and here's where I'll say, unless somebody like Tua, I don't know if you saw his comments in Miami, talks about trying to get guys together for a meeting, and they don't want to get together because they're probably like, oh, this guy's out the door. Who cares? And you see that obvious disconnect. But just the idea of a meeting in the NFL, it's kind of silly to me. That's all they do.
Yeah. You're not looking at, fourth quarter projections, and, all this kind of looking at I get, you do film meetings and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, we've seen some of the behind the scenes of, them in the big auditorium having these meetings where they're talking about, togetherness and all this kind of, oh, that's great. The offense looked like garbage last Thursday, even after AJ and Jalen and Saquon had their 3-person meeting to kind of hash things out. And maybe it was a meeting, maybe it wasn't a meeting. Did they meet in the parking lot by the car? According to AJ Brown, did they meet at a TGI Fridays? You know, like we don't really know exactly what that meeting was. According to AJ, if it actually even happened, maybe, you know, did 2 people invent it out of thin air? You know, I agree with you. I think you got to show it on the field. Like, you can have all the meetings you want and talk about how you're going to get back and regain your identity. Oh, we're feeling much better this week. We heard that down the stretch in 2023 too. Oh, we had a good meeting this week. We have good meetings this week. We're ready to establish our identity. We're ready to establish our physicality. And then they come out and they didn't do that. So we didn't need to worry about this in 24 last year. I mean, they after the bye, they fixed some things and they played really well from that point on. There was, you know, some.
They did have a meeting. They had a bye week meeting.
Right. And that mattered. That meant something, you know, where the offensive lineman went into Nick Sirianni's office and said, we need to run the ball more. So, I mean, I think if their meetings this week were about establishing an identity, about really focusing in on what is it we do well, who do we have, what is it we do well, and then as coaches, okay, what are teams doing to us? How do we dictate play? How do we dictate to defenses what they should be doing by accentuating what we do best? And if they can get everybody on the same page, then fine. The meetings are fine. But yeah, I am done looking at the talk about all the meetings that they're having and feeling good or feeling any different, I would say, about how they're going to play on Sunday than I would have had they had lesser meetings, because, you know, who knows?
No, I'm with you. The eye roll, your initial eye roll was exactly how I feel when John brought up the meeting. John, where's the bigger concern for you right now, offense or defense for this team?
I think it's a great question. I think the offense is more concerning because it's more mystifying to me. And I'm not sure that the coaching on that side of the ball can fix the issues as well as Vic Fangio can fix any issues on the defensive side of the ball. Talent-wise, the defensive side, there are a lot more worries on that side of the ball. You're worried right now, especially after Za'Darius Smith retired, you know, surprisingly, and kind of leaving his team in the lurch there with the edge rushers. And I really worry about their ability to pressure the quarterback. But I think there's enough talent on that side of the ball, and Vic Fangio especially, to know how to get them through some of these games and until Howie Roseman can maybe get them some help. Offensively, there's just no reason for them to be struggling the way they are right now. And so that's the worry, is like, can the coaching staff, do they have answers? This is an offensive league. This is an offense first league. If your offense is broken, you're not going to win. This offense should not be broken. It just shouldn't be. And I know Kevin Patullo is a first-time play caller, and I've been saying this, and I just don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but he was your offensive passing game coordinator these last few years. They didn't have him in some isolation booth away from the team, unaware of what plays were being called, how the offense was being structured, how things were being put together. I would pretty much guess that he was aware of what kinds of plays they've been calling over the last few years, how the offense flowed. Like, you could, if you wanted to be an offensive coordinator someday, my guess is you're probably picking Kellen Moore's brain about these different kinds of things.
Oh my God, John. Those two were attached to the hip.
Right. So it's not like they pulled Kevin Patullo from Neptune and said, here, you're now an NFL coach and we want you to call plays. Like, this shouldn't be as dramatic a transition for an assistant coach who's been with the team the whole time, worked with these players the whole time, was working with Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts really closely. It should not be this much of a struggle to figure out how to beat zone. It just shouldn't. Zone's been around for a long time.
Now, that to me is the most interesting part, John, because the knock on the Eagles coming into this season, and really you saw it with the early game plans, was, you know, try to get Jalen Hurts in the blitz, try to get him moving left, try to get him uncomfortable, try to get him off the spot. And he's been excellent versus the blitz. This is the best he's ever played in his career by a wide margin blitzing. Then teams have backed off and gone to simulated pressure and gone back in that zone, as you mentioned, and they can't deal with it. It's like a complete 180 of the problems coming into the season. And now all of a sudden it's like they're gashing people when they dare blitz. And when they back off and play that zone, they really, really struggle. It's so confusing to me. That's the frustrating part to me. I can't even figure out what the problem is to fix it. They fixed the one glaring problem. They fixed it. And all of a sudden, they can't do what they did effectively in the past. Running game, throwing against zone. It's crazy.
And that's what's mystifying. And that's why I'm more worried about the offensive side of the football, because the answers should be there. And I think that's part of what Milana was talking about with effort. In order to, you've got to, if you're a receiver and you're running your route and, you're just kind of, and they're obviously not inspired, by the routes that they're running and the plays that are being called. I mean, how many times a game can you run a 10-yard curl and be excited about it? Especially especially as you're looking at what the defense is giving you and you realize, geez, my route is going to take me right into this guy's breadbasket. And then I got to stop right in front of him. It's just, you see that a lot with so many of these plays that in zone where you have two guys doing a hitch, two guys doing a curl, nothing there. And so Jalen's back there. He's holding the ball. He's got to figure out something to do back there. I think it's, and I would think that more teams are going to play zone, especially because they do want to stop Saquon Barkley, right? They want to have their eyes in the backfield to be able to kind of to stop the run if and when the Eagles ever get their run game going. So that's where this offense has to go. It's got to start with doing what they do best. They've got to involve Jalen in the run game more. They've got to put defenders in a moment of conflict with regards to Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. They've got to spread defenses out a little bit to give everybody a little bit more room to operate. They got to get the second tight end and third tight end off the field when they're running the ball. And they got to make it look like so that defenses don't know what they're going to do every time they line up according to their formation. And I hope that's what these meetings were about this week on the offensive side of the ball. Like, hey, every time we run 3-by-1, we run the ball. It's pretty easy to tell what we're going to do every time we do 3-by-1,
Devil's advocacy, because I want to go back to the wide receiver point for a second. Like, I don't know, from my perspective, and I got to cover Randy Moss back in the day. So I was at ground zero of, Randy's unhappy. He's not running all routes, yada, yada, yada. So I went through that. There's something about the wide receiver position that when things get a little bit shaky and people start putting ISO cameras on different receivers and they're not running a million miles an hour after they just ran a 40-yard go route, that they're lollygagging it or whatever you want to use the term. Why doesn't nobody say, hey, Saquon Barkley's bored because he's got to run his 15th inside zone in the game? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like one of the interesting, because Baldy put out that, and it's great, and Baldy's great, and he put out that film clip of the Eagles running what you just said, that he showed the three sort of exact same AJ, Devontae. But the ironic thing about that was they were open on every single play. The first time was Dallas Goedert. Now it was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and they get 5 yards. So that's not going to get you where you need to go. But the other 2 times, one of the 2 was open and the ball didn't come out on time. So at what point is it that's like, okay, it's boring. I think we can all agree. We can all say this is a boring offense. I mean, if that's just your goal, creativity, Ben Johnson, excitement, this is a pretty boring offense. I think we can all stipulate that. They go about their things in a workmanlike fashion. But if the ball's not coming out and 2nd and 10 could be 2nd and 3rd and 2, but it turns into 3rd and 10 because the ball's not coming out. At what point do we have to look at the quarterback?
100%. I think it's fair to say Jalen Hurts is not playing well at all right now. And I don't think we think of football players and quarterbacks in particular as going through slumps like baseball players do. But I think Jalen Hurts is one of those guys. I think Jalen Hurts has stretches where he gets really hot. He sees the field great. Thankfully, It's generally when the moment matters most, when they're in the playoffs, when they're in a must-win game, when they're in a must-have game. Jalen Hurts oftentimes elevates his game and plays better in those moments. He's streaky. He just is. I think they're going back to last year too. I think if you're looking at kind of some of the body language of the wide receivers, specifically Brown and Devontae Smith, I don't think that they were happy with their usage last year. But Saquon was running for 2,000 yards, and they were winning all their games and winning a Super Bowl. They didn't want to complain, because obviously winning solves everything. And when you're watching history, you kind of realize, okay, I get it. AJ Brown is maybe one of the 3 best wide receivers in the NFL. His numbers don't reflect that last year, and certainly this year. Devontae Smith in another offense could be one of the most productive players in football, but he's not that here. He's good. His numbers he puts up are really good, but they're not like Pro Bowl caliber numbers. I think they both could, in different offenses, have numbers that get them into Pro Bowls, have them in All-Pro consideration. That's just not the way it works here in Philadelphia. They're going to win more games here, though. And so I think maybe you're seeing some of that push-pull a little bit with those guys. And I think they are, like you said, Jalen's not getting the ball out to these guys on different occasions. He's not seeing it real well. I think there's frustration there with them at their quarterback, that he's not getting the ball. He's not getting the ball to them as often as he can. And I don't know why that is. I just, other than the fact that Jalen Hurts goes through slumps and that he is probably in one right now, I will say that I think one of the ways you get Jalen Hurts out of a slump is get him running. Get him running, get him first downs with his legs, get the offense moving with first downs. That gets Saquon involved a little bit more. That gets defenses on their heels a little bit. And then Jalen Hurts, I think just getting him running gets him in the flow of the game a little bit more. So I think what you're going to see early in this game is you're going to see a couple of Jalen Hurts designed runs, designed to kind of get him moving the ball downfield, get him active, get his juices flowing. And then I think you're going to see a different quarterback there. And I think part of the problem has been that he's been stationary in the backfield, and he can throw from the pocket, but I think he needs to get out and moving a little bit and kind of get into the rhythm of the game a little bit better.
Are you expecting an adjustment coming? We already talked about the meetings, but everybody, if you listen to like Saquon this week, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to say too much I don't want to help them in scouting," basically is what he said. Every year, John, you have a new circumstance. You have players have up and down years. You got new injuries. You lose guys and you add guys. Last year, the offensive line was historic. I think this team is going to have to shift a little bit the way they play. I understand we won the Super Bowl the way we did last year, but right now, that way isn't working. At what point do you get, okay, we have to change our identity again, just like they did a year ago when they became the running team? Do you expect them to kind of evolve and shift, or is it get this running game going, boom or bust?
I hope that, I think that that's what this week was about, was trying to identify, okay, what do we need to be doing now? How have defenses adjusted to us? And now how can we dictate the style of play? And that's what concerns me when I listen to Patullo and Sirianni. It feels like their offensive schemes are completely revolve around reacting to what the defenses are doing right now. And they're very much take what the defense gives you in their philosophy. It's conservative. They don't want to turn the ball over. And that's the main thing for them. But last year, the running game's not working. The offensive line isn't playing well. And that's what they really wanted to hang their hats on this year. It's what won them a Super Bowl a season ago. It hasn't been there. Now, I will say, too, I don't think the schemes have helped. I don't think asking really bad run blocking tight ends to be on the field in running situations to run the ball is a recipe for success. I don't think asking Cam Jurgens to stay anchored in the center of the line and try and take on some of the best defensive tackles in football one-on-one is using his abilities as best you can. You need to get him out and, doing more of those pin pulls that have always worked so well for the Eagles. I think that's been part of it. So that's why I'm hoping that they have had kind of like a coming to Jesus moment here this week. Say, okay, maybe it is getting more back to what they did in 2024 and saying, here's what worked really well for us last year. We're not doing that as much right now. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to what we know we're good at and use these guys, use their abilities in the best way that we possibly can. And they're not, I don't know what it is they've been trying to do. It feels like they've been very reactive to A.J. Brown's unhappy. So let's force feed A.J. Brown the football here as much as we can. We're getting criticized for not passing the ball enough or having a lackluster passing game. All right, we're going to run it 8 times this week, and we're going to throw it 40. Just do what you do best. Use your players. I mean, it sounds simple, but last year it was simple. That's what they did. They have the talent that if they use their players in the best possible positions, they're probably going to win because their talent is so much better than everyone else. Sometimes it is simple.
That's where I'm struggling because you say it so simply, use your best players. And right now, the offensive line is not the same as it was a year ago. Well, if the running game's not working, you do have two damn good receivers in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You have a damn good tight end in Dallas Goedert. We don't seem to be able to use them effectively, John, week in and week out. I don't know what it is. Put it on the quarterback. Put it on Kevin Petula's routes. You know how the conversation is. Some people go here. Some people go there. I don't know what it is. If I was, maybe I'd be working for an NFL team. But it does seem like we struggle to do that, man, to use those receivers. Sometimes it feels like nails on a chalkboard. I mean, should it be this hard to get A.J. Brown involved in the game? Feels crazy to me. I don't know what to do with that.
In that point, which I agree with to a certain degree with AJ. I mean, AJ was involved against the Giants. They still played like crap. I mean, I don't know. I think he ended up with 5 for 80 or 6. It wasn't bad.
Right.
But they still played poorly. I like John's point on the tight ends from the perspective of, I think there's a million cliches in the NFL. I think the dumbest one of them all is next man up. And everybody uses it. Everybody says it. And I don't have a problem with people saying it because that to me, messaging is different than actual implementation. Like if you lose good players, you can say again on the podium, hey, next man up, blah, 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 it's got to step. No, but as a coaching staff, you have to persevere. You have to do things differently. You don't have good blocking tight ends outside of Dallas Goedert. And the one you do have, maybe you move the fullback, Cameron Latu. I'm not saying, but he's definitely a better blocker than the other two. How about using Fred Johnson as an extra tight end?
Exactly.
If you want to run the ball, you're predictable anyway. Get the extra. A lot of teams do that. Kansas City does it all the time. Chicago's been doing it. A lot of teams do that, using extra offensive linemen. Detroit's done it for years with Skipper. A lot of teams do it. Why not? Your backup tight ends, to John's point, are let's be honest. I mean, they are ineffective at the blocking point of attack, to be kind. Why are you pounded? That's what bothers me about the coaching staff. And I think it's a little bit of hubris. I always use that term. They think they're better than everybody else. And they think, oh, Jalen Carter, next man up. Really? Quinyon Mitchell, next man up. Really? That's dumb. Isn't that dumb to everyone?
Yeah.
It's just, again, the messaging, that's fine. You got to pump up your guys. But in reality, as a coaching staff, you have to shift the way you do things to persevere when you lose good players. It bothers me. And I think the Eagles are like, literally, all right, next guy, you do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And the philosophy too is like, we do what we do and we do it better than anyone else. So we really can just slide anyone in here to get comparable production. And, that's not how it works most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, they're the 30th offense in pro football, John. I think they're 25th in the running game, and they're like 29th in the passing game. So, no, I don't know.
No, well, but the only thing I'll say, that the passing game hasn't changed. The running game has changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, and Jordan said, I'll give you the exact Jordan Mailata quote. I don't think we're predictable. I just think we're not executing. That is the major part of the game right now. We're just putting ourselves in predictable situations, which I agree with, meaning we're behind the sticks and we have to throw. There aren't too many runs we can do at 2nd and 15. There just aren't. And if you do, you probably gain 5 or 6 or 7 yards in a successful play. Not many runs you can do out of 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7. If you do, you're going to surprise the people, and occasionally it'll work. But they're passing downs, he said. So you get a defense that'll pin its ears back and shoot upfield, and it kind of sucks. And he basically, if we get the running game going, everything's fixed. I don't think the ship is about, if there is a ship, getting the running game going. And for this offense, and to John's point, I think that was a good one. Get the quarterback involved. My biggest thing, and I've told Zander, and I tell people every day on the show, John, where are the layups when things are going bad? Mm-hmm. That's what bothers me about the coaching staff. Like, okay, you get a 3 and out, get him a layup. Throw a swing pass to Saquon or Will Shipley. Get him a layup. Make it 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
And then everything's on the table. As far as you can throw it, you can run it. And then if there is continued failure, then you start to look at the players. And I'm glad you pointed that Nick Saban thing out yesterday, Zander. I mean, is it controversial to say players over plays? Like when the best coaches in the world say the same thing? I mean, the players are the ones out there playing.
Yeah. I think so. You've got two competing things here by your two best offensive linemen, because Lane Johnson after the game talked about predictability and how predictable they were. And so I think both things are true. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not one or the other. Both things can be true. I mean, you look at the tape and you can see defenses aren't fooled on first down against this team. They know what's coming, especially on first down. It's with the exception of in the red zone. And you got to give the Eagles their flowers for their red zone efficiency. When they get inside the 20, suddenly they're way more creative. It's just, they do different things inside the red zone, which is great. I don't know why you can't take some of those concepts in between the 20s, when you're in the middle of the field and doing some of those different kinds of things. But I think Jordan Mailata is right. I think the players aren't executing. I don't know if coming off a Super Bowl has, changes their mindset, or just that there's a little bit of complacency that's kind of built in having won the Super Bowl. That would certainly be human nature if that was the case. A lot of these guys, most of these guys have never won a Super Bowl before. A couple have here and there, but Lane Johnson doesn't talk very much. So when he comes out and says the things he says, he's also talking about the scheme. He's talking about the predictability, especially on first down. Like defenses are not fooled by what the Eagles are doing on early downs. And that puts you in 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 8. And then you're right. You're limited at what you can do at that point somewhat. Now, 2nd and 8, I would argue, if you're a good offense, you've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, you're not talking about 2nd and 20. I mean, you got to convert more of these. You can't have as many 3 and outs as this Eagles team has had. I don't care if you get in 1st and 15. Like, you can do this. This is not
2nd and 7 because they'll push it to the first down.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, I mean, I think both things are true here. I think the players are, and to Jordan Mailata's point, not executing and not putting forth, I think, the effort that we had seen from them last year. Maybe not as hungry, lose a little bit of that hunger. And I think the game plan has not been creative at all. Players have gotten open for sure. I mean, there are good things happening on offense, but they're not executing, and the scheme is bland, and teams aren't fooled right now. And so that's kind of a dangerous combination. And hopefully the 25 meetings they had this week at NovaCare Complex will address some of those different things, and we'll see a different effort in Minnesota. I'm actually kind of glad they're on the road this weekend. Trying to figure this out in Minnesota rather than at home. Because if things
I kind of like that, I'm happy they're on the road.
Yeah,
you got predictability on one hand, and you got execution on the other. Like you can be predictable, and if you execute, it doesn't matter. If you don't execute, it doesn't matter whether you're predictable or not. And so that's where I'm like, execution is the number one thing. Last year they were predictable. Saquon said it, but we executed at such a high level, nobody could stop it. So, John, last question for me, man. Trenches. This game in football is won in the trenches, and the Eagles have dominated the trenches for so many years, especially on the offensive side. I mean, we've almost gotten so used to it. It's like if we're not a top 5 line, the sky is falling. But it does feel like for the first time in a bit, we're getting beat up in the trenches. What are you seeing inside the trenches, and what do you think the fix is? You can start offense, defense, whatever you think the bigger issue is.
We'll start off in the defense. Jalen Carter is not himself. He's going to play this week, but he has not had an impact this year.
No, he hasn't
at all.
I agree.
He's been
certainly not to what we come to expect.
Right. And after the Rams game, have you heard much from Jordan Davis? I haven't heard much from Jordan Davis. He's been, I mean, we were talking a lot about him after the improvements that he'd made. He's been quiet. And obviously at edge, they're just not sacking the quarterback. This is where you're going to need
and no Za'Darius Smith now. We should have talked about that, but the offense is so overwhelming in this town.
Yeah.
I have more concerns on defense, Za'Darius especially. I mean, that dude was a good player. And I hope everything's okay. But that was out of left field for the Eagles. And now all of a sudden, Alex Hunt is your top edge rusher, John. I mean, that is not a Vic's great, but I mean, that's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, and if you've watched some reps of Jahad Campbell on the edge and the few opportunities he's gotten this year, he that ain't it.
Yeah.
He's just getting pushed around back. So there's real concern there on the defensive line that they're going to even even with Minnesota's quarterbacks, they're pretty stationary right now. So I think it's at least you don't have to worry about like a Baker Mayfield type guy who's going to dash around and dip and duck and dive and scramble around. I don't think you're going to see that from Minnesota. So they have an opportunity here to kind of collapse the pocket a little bit. Maybe we get a Jalen Carter game here on Sunday. And honestly, that's what they need. They need Jalen Carter to start wrecking shop in the middle of the defensive line. If that doesn't happen, the defense is going to have real problems. And then on the offensive side, I think, like we've been talking about, I think it's execution. Jordan Mailata himself has not played well this year. And I don't know what Landon Dickerson has left, but Dickerson and Mailata on that left side, that's like the best left side of an offensive line in football. If those guys aren't playing well, if they're not dominating physically, we're in trouble. So it's on them to get healthy, A, and B, to execute. And that's you're right. They're getting bullied in the trenches, and that's been the big problem.
Yeah, it's strange. At John Stolnis, make sure you follow John. The Jalen Carter stuff is interesting to me. Make sure you follow John on X, the platform. Read him at Bleeding Green Nation. Check out his Phillies work as well. When you get over it, his Phillies podcast is one of the best in the business. Baldy, again, I'm giving Baldy. Baldy's great. I'm not trying to, but I'm a little bit surprised about the narrative this week with Jalen Carter. Now, I agree 100%. We were all expecting him to take this next level and become one of the defensive player of the year candidates after being a second team All-Pro. He hasn't reached that level. That I completely agree with. But I think of all games, I think you saw what his presence means to this team against the Giants when he's not out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Baldy went on a different radio station, said he's been awful. Like, I can't go that far.
Yeah.
I think he's still I think Zach Bond's the best defensive player on this team. Quinyon Mitchell's having a great season as well. So Jalen hasn't taken that next leap. But when he's not out there, it was brutal. I think his presence alone takes him to a level of, okay, this guy's good. It's just a matter, he's got to get back to where he's a true game wrecker. So when I see something like he's been awful, I think that's going too far. You agree or disagree with that, John?
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I think we're grading on a curve when it comes to Jalen Carter. And so I think that's probably fair. I think by most defensive tackle standards, he's played pretty good. It's just not what the Eagles were expecting. And for a guy who is looking to secure a big payday, it's not what I think. It's they need more. And,
well, that I agree.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I wouldn't say bad, but I would say not impactful.
Well, part of it, John, is also not just our expectations. It's also the teams, right? I mean, the team let Milton walk. The team let Sweat walk. The team did what they did partly because the talent that they have on the roster, they felt like would make up for some of those losses. If he doesn't play to that dominant level, some of those losses look, a lot worse than we thought.
Yeah, 100% agree. And it's going to be a long season for the defense if there's an injury he's dealing with. And I know he has been dealing with some injury, but if it's a long-term thing that's going to affect him negatively throughout the season, I would just rather him sit out for a couple of weeks and get right. But they don't. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen this week. So unless one of these veterans edge rushers kind of pop to the surface and start giving you real production on the edge, you need Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis to get in there and start pushing things in from the middle. Moro Jomo as well, to really step up. So I think it's a good opponent for them this weekend. I think it's a chance for them to get
I think it's a great opponent. They're going to be on a third string center. Carson doesn't move. He lets you sack him. Remember when Carson was in Washington, in your neck of the woods, John, they sacked him, I think, 9 times.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the type of quarterback, and the Eagles pass rush was great at that time. So that you have to factor that in. They're not nearly as good, but this is a quarterback that will let you sack him. Eagles fans know that better than anybody. There are certain guys that are going to get the ball out, and this is a sack game. You can get sacks in this game if you're effective. So I agree. It'll be big for that defensive front to prove that they can do some things as well. I think the meeting went well, John. What do you think? We had a meeting?
I think our meeting went well.
Our meeting went great. John, you think they make a trade, a big trade?
Sorry?
You think they make a trade, a big trade?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's edge or if it's corner or if it's both. Howie's midseason trade history. The results are not awesome.
No, he hasn't been good since the Super Bowl when it comes to trades.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a plug and play league. And like in baseball, John's a baseball. I mean, you acquire a hitter, you put him in the lineup, and he either hits or he doesn't. I don't think football's a plug and play game
it's not
like baseball or even basketball.
Like if you're gonna go get a lineman or you're gonna go get a corner, he better know the Vic Fangio system really well. But I would do it sooner rather than later to get get as many reps as possible.
No doubt. John, good stuff, man. We appreciate you joining in today. As always, we look forward to talking to you again soon down the line. It's always good having you here, John. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
thanks, John.
John Stolnis joining us.
Yeah, good meeting. Positive meeting.
Good meeting.
Can leak that. Sure. Leak that on any of our listeners who want to leak that on social media. Feel free. We had a positive meeting.
A positive meeting with John Stolnis. You can go and leak it out. Is good, John. One thing that I might disagree with you and John on, John Mack and John Stolnis. We have a struggling offense right now. I don't know if this is the best defense to get a struggling offense going against. Now, Mike Gill brought it up yesterday. Total defense, the Vikings are 6th overall. The passing defense, the Vikings are 2nd overall. Rushing defense is where they faulty a little bit. They're 24th overall. Scoring defense, they're 5th overall. Red zone defense, they are 4th overall. And third down defense, they are 2nd overall. Now, I know it's early, so some of those stats can be, they're not, it's not a perfect look, but Brian Flores is a tough defensive coordinator, and that defense is playing pretty good for an offense.
It is. I love Flores. Anybody who listens to the show, he's my favorite defensive coordinator. I always say Vic is, in my opinion, the best. My personal favorite. It's similar to, a creative offense. People love Ben Johnson. Is he the best offensive coordinator? Probably not the best, but he's definitely the most creative. That's how I feel about Flores. He's going to throw some wacky crap at you, and that confuses a lot of people. Ironically, I think the Eagles' conservative offense helps them in this type of game, because where it really confounds people is the people that do the motions and all this stuff. And I think being static kind of helps you against him.
It's a good take, kind of like the motion, like he slams it back in your face almost.
Yeah. So I think in some ways it sort of helps you. Now, he's also really embraced the idea that the Eagles are sort of just tipping their toes into the pool of positionalist players. So again, I often say labels are a big problem in the NFL. Like, whoa, you got to play 3 linebackers because Jahad Campbell's better than So edge rusher. So you got to play 3 live. You got to play a 4-3 or 3. I'm like, just stop talking like that. If Jahan Campbell's playing on the edge, he's an edge defender. He's not a linebacker. If Zach Bond, if you want to get Kobe Dean on the play, that's what Brian Flores has embraced, particularly with Josh Metellus and Andrew Van Ginkel. Now, Van Ginkel's been out. They have those defensive numbers without, arguably, I think, their best defensive player. I don't think he's going to play this week, but
wait, who are you talking about? It's not going to play, or you don't think it's going to play?
Van Ginkel, Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel, yeah.
Who's been out? I think he's missed three games in a row. Dealing with some kind of, I think it described his neck. I think it's more of a stinger, but I don't know. But we'll see. They've been very cautious.
Their secondary is playing really good, dude. Josh Mattel, you mentioned their secondary.
Josh Mattel. Yeah, but they're not that talented in the.
No, they're not. But Isaiah Rodgers is playing really good right now, as you mentioned. They got.
I love Josh Metellus is one of my favorite players for that reason. He plays everywhere. So, he's labeled as a safety because he played safety in college at Michigan. But he plays everywhere, literally everywhere. He'll play edge rusher. He'll play slot corner. He'll play outside corner. He'll play linebacker. He'll play safety.
I think he was like a 6th-round pick, Josh Metellus, too. Yeah.
Yeah. They've embraced this idea. So people they only have 4 cornerbacks on their roster because they don't play cornerbacks.
Right.
What team in the NFL doesn't play cornerbacks? They play 2 cornerbacks. Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers.
Right.
They don't even play. And then it's Jeff Okudah plays a couple snaps here and there.
Yeah.
They play 3 safeties. Again, labeling. They're labeled safeties. But Metellus might be playing the slot. Harrison Smith is back. He plays all over. It's a very unique team.
Who's the third safety? We got Metellus and Theo Jackson. Who's that third safety?
Well, Harrison Smith now is back.
Okay.
Who's, going to be in the Hall of Fame. Early in the season, he was out, and they had a younger kid from LSU. I forget his name, but
Jay Ward, is it?
Jay Ward, yeah. He's okay. The real issue has been at linebacker, where they had to play Eric Wilson and Ivan Pace. And Pace is a good blitzer. Like, he's good going straight ahead. He's really, but he's not a gap sound player. So they've really struggled against the run. But Cashman's back. Cashman's one of the best linebackers in football. Now he's going to play, but he's missed 4 weeks. He's been on injured reserve. This will be his first week back. So usually there's a ramp up period. He's a really good player. So that'll make him better. And when they get Van Ginkel back, then they can really do everything they want to do. Because that dude is here's what I'll say. If Andrew Van Ginkel, and I say this to everything, if he's out there, don't throw a damn bubble screen to his side. I don't know if you've seen some of the highlights of this guy.
Right, it jumps him, man, and then takes him to the house.
It is unbelievable because of his football IQ. He knows when it's coming. It's really hard. It's sort of like if you ever see Jalen Carter try to get that interception when they're spiking the ball and he's so close to it. It's really hard to do it because they come out so fast. But Van Ginkel reads it. It's unbelievable. And people keep doing it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just look where he is and just throw it out of the playbook for that week. But I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. And that's a player, by the way, the Eagles really wanted because he played with Vic in Miami.
Yeah. Yep.
But he had a serious injury there, and they were questioning. He had a Lisfranc injury, which is pretty significant for a linebacker because you have to run. And the Eagles were concerned they weren't going to get a chance to test him, to let their medical people look at him. And they went in a different direction, and they ultimately got Zach Bond. So nobody's complaining. And ironically, here's the other. They're like best friends. They both played at Wisconsin. Zach Bond and Andrew, they're very close. But yeah, that guy he is an unbelievable player. And I don't think he's playing this week, so I don't think you have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a big win for the Eagles offense if he does not play. John, they are getting, I know they're struggling versus the run, this Minnesota team, but they do have pretty good defensive line and they do get pretty good pressure. I mean, they got Jonathan Grenard, Javon Hargraves over there. Obviously, everybody should know Javon Hargrave from his time in Philadelphia. Dallas Turner, Jonathan Allen, who was with the Commanders for many years. So they're getting some pressure for sure over there.
Yeah, I think it's the guys you don't know that are better. They have a kid from now I got to look him up.
Jalen Redmond, maybe.
Jalen Redmond from Oklahoma. He's been doing a lot of havoc creation, as they say. He's really quick, but they're really undersized. So again, to me, this is the game where you get the running game going because they're all good. And even Hargrave and Allen, they're pass rushers. They're not run defenders. And Redmond is undersized and really effective. Levi Drake Rodriguez, watch that kid, man. He creates some, but he's very undersized. It's all pass rushing. They get pushed around in the running game. I know because I was doing a story yesterday. Bijan is Bijan. He was over 100 yards. The Ohio State rookie from Cleveland was over 100. Judkins and Kenny Gainwell was at 99. So almost. I mean, you can run the football on this team. Now all of that was without Cashman, so they should be a little bit better because he's very good. But you could run the football on this team because the defensive front is very pass rushing centric, number one, and undersized, number two. And the one run stopper they did have was Harrison Phillips, and they traded him for some reason. I don't know, because he's a good run defender.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, though. I do think that Flores gives them that nice advantage, and they obviously are playing good as a unit overall. So it is an interesting game to kind of, right the ship, if you will, on offense. I do think we'll be able to run the football, but that all comes down to our O-line, doesn't it? I mean, you expect the O-line to be better this week?
Yeah, I do. I think it's for the same reason. I think they got the pads on. It's very businesslike. I think they see the opportunity that if they just do their jobs, they have a big advantage in the running game this week. And yeah, I think, look, that's the way the NFL is. You get embarrassed, and generally you wake up the next week and say, all right, we're not going to let that happen again. And I like this spot for the Eagles. The more it goes on, like I mentioned, the vibe. All right, I'm yelling at myself, but I did get a very professional, back to business vibe from the Eagles, and I'm not there anymore in Minnesota. But I saw Kevin. I've never seen Kevin O'Connell upset.
Yeah, that was the opposite. Their vibes were wrong the other way. Yeah.
I've never seen the guy upset. He's cool as a cucumber, and he was upset because he knows things are not going well at quarterback for him.
And I think it might be a low-scoring game. I mean, you got the two offenses that are struggling right now. I mean, the Minnesota offense is not good.
But to your point about the Vikings defense, if you're not playing well, you could look silly against them. But I think the Eagles understand that. And I think they're going to be.
I don't know if it's the game we break out. You know what I mean? Like, I think we should be able to be all right. I think we're the better team still. But
much
burger,
much more talented team. But Isaiah Rodgers, had great season so far. Some things coming out, but I like AJ against Isaiah down the field.
Yeah,
I mean, Isaiah is really small. It was a go route game. All right, throw it up. Byron Murphy's really small. Jeff Okuda is a big corner, but he can't cover Zander Krause. So, I'm not too
Wouldn't
concerned
go that
about
far there, Johnny Mac. I wouldn't go that far, my friend.
that. Well, I wasn't going down to me. I used you. So you could cover me, but yeah, I don't like their cornerbacks.
No. Yeah, well, we're going to see how that. You think they play more man than normal? I mean, they're they're a team that does.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's what Flores is known for his blitzing,
I know.
but he's also, there was at one point, whether it was last year or the year prior, that the Vikings were the number one blitzing team in the NFL and the number one 8-man in coverage team. They were both. He's a whack job.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Like
kind of
he'll blitz, drop 8. Like he is just. It's just why I like him so much is this kind of stuff doesn't happen in the NFL. You don't have somebody off on by themselves because they don't want to answer the question if things go bad. He's like, screw it. He's found the Eagles always talk about winning on the margins. He wins on the margins. He does stuff nobody else does. So what does that mean? Well, that means that teams aren't used to seeing it and they make mistakes. Like for everyone's havoc statistics, that's kind of a thing in the NFL. How many havoc plays, how many sacks, pressures, passes defended. They're always at the top 5, always, because they create havoc. And a lot of their creation, some of it is Van Ginkel's great. They have good players. Van Ginkel's great. Grenard's when he's out there. Grenard's great. Cashman's great when he's out there. Harrison Smith is going to the Hall of Fame. They've had good players, so it's always players. But a lot of it is just he throws things at offenses that they don't typically see. And that creates, think about it. If you're used to seeing something, you're like, and if something's like, oh shit, you get jittery.
right.
And you're more susceptible to making a mistake.
We'll see what Brian Flores does this week. John, how about the other side? I mean, how about the offense coming into this game and or excuse me, the defense coming into this game and managing these, they are high-powered receivers, whether Wentz is throwing them the ball or JJ McCarthy is not throwing them the ball. They have good receivers, man. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, obviously. I don't know what
they have a good tight end.
They were going to play yesterday, John, on the show. You literally said, and I'm listening to you, and I'm like, I think he's right. If they either misdiagnosed him or he's not playing. Like if he really did hurt the hamstring, he wouldn't be playing this week. He was out at practice yesterday. I don't know what to make of that, but that's obviously a big injury in this game if he plays or doesn't play.
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw what happened when he's not out there. Then you're really up against it. But if he's not 100% trying to deal with Justin Jefferson, look, that's a guy that's going to beat. Sorry, Eagles fan, he's going to beat him anyway. He's that's like like
the NFL, dude. You can't cover everybody perfectly.
Yeah, that's like Jordan in his prime. You want to make him work hard for his points, so to speak. In the case of Jefferson, to me, it's more about the quarterback. Impact the quarterback. You're not going to be able to cover. And now that Addison's back, who's really good, if he's not getting arrested or doing stupid shit off the field. And even their third receiver, Jalen Naylor's really fast. So he creates spacing that allows those guys to work. Because you have to account for him. And Adam Thielen's back, and we always talk about, now he doesn't play much, but the one guy that gave Cooper DeJean trouble as a rookie was Adam Thielen, just from a route running perspective. So they're really good, but they don't have a good quarterback right now. The offensive line, they're probably going to get 2 of them back, but the center's still out. They figured out the third string center, I think, is better than the second string center. But either way, it's, this is a game where Jalen Carter can maybe have a bigger impact. And Carson's susceptible to turning the football over. But to me, this is a big defensive front game. They're not going to win on the back end. If he's got time to throw, they're not going to win.
Yeah, and we just lost Z Smith, and we've had, not good edge rusher play so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be.
Stolnis is right. Like, maybe the conversation on Carter's a little far, but dude, if he doesn't dominate this game and get pressure, we can't rely on Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari to get our pressure. We just can't.
Not if Brian O'Neill's out there. And again, he's another guy who's been out, but might be back. And Christian Darisol's back, so they'd be in the conversation having a top 5 tackle duo, along with the Eagles and Chargers if they didn't have their guys hurt. They have 2 really good tackles.
John, what's the fix for the edge this week? Do you think he does put Bond or Campbell at edge? Are you predicting he will, or do you think he won't?
I think you're going to see Zach Bond a little bit more on the edge. To John's point,
back at the mic.
Yeah, to John's point. Now, not the whole game.
Right.
I think in situations. To John's point, if you look at the small sample of edge rushing snaps from Jahad Campbell, they're not good on film. I don't think he's ready. Zach can do it. The problem is Zach is such a good linebacker.
Yeah, you're going to take a hit there.
Yeah, but you got, as Vic explained, you have to get your best collective out there, and I think that's their best collective. And that's if Nakobe's ready. I don't know if Nakobe's ready. The assumption him coming, like I'm talking about, Blake Cashman misses 4 games with a hamstring injury. Is he going to be himself? I don't think so. Now, if I think that, do I think Nakobe Dean is going to be himself the moment he steps out on the field after missing 8 months, 9 months? I don't think so. So there's a lot of moving parts as far as injuries in this game.
Going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. A good matchup here this weekend. The Vikings are 3-2. They're coming off a bye week. I don't know if that's good or bad. They're coming off a bye week, though, and this game is back at home for them in Minnesota. The Birds are 4-2, obviously lost 2 straight. And if I'm not mistaken, the Vikings wins are, let me pull it up real quick. Vikings lost to the Steelers, and they lost to the Falcons, and they have wins over the Bengals, the Browns, and the Bears. So Bears aren't.
By the way, all of both of those losses completely gassed in the running game.
Right.
Bijan and Kenny Gainwell. And completely. And now again, Eric Wilson, who, if people remember him here, he's a very athletic linebacker. He's more about pass coverage, and he's not a good run defender. And now you have easily one of the best middle linebackers in football coming back. So a little bit of a different setup, but again, I don't know how, coming off a month of inactivity, I don't think Cashman will be at his typical level. So, but that's a big matchup to keep an eye on.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Good breakdown of the game. We will dive obviously more into the game. We still have a full Football Friday show, so we will kind of get into some of the matchups and everything like that on tomorrow's show. I do want to talk about a couple other things as well here on Birds 365. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to drop your comments down below. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and consider becoming a member. We do a bunch of giveaways, jerseys, hats, everything, merch for all of our great members on the channel. So we appreciate all of our members here today. James Jones, Deshay, Abe. Who else we got? That's a member in here this morning. Deshay Shavers. What's up, buddy? Curtis is in here. We appreciate all of our great member. So good stuff there. John, when we come back, why is the defense regressed? We'll talk about that. What do we do to get this offense going? We'll talk about that. And we'll look at some of the individual players on defense as well. We talked about Jalen Carter a little bit with John Stolnis. I want to get your perspective on some individual players and how they're doing right now. So we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back in 3 minutes here on Birds 365.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. Give us follows on X at Zander Krause and at JF McMullen for Johnny Mack. Getting ready for this Week 7 matchup for the Birds. Coming off of 2 straight losses. Haven't said that since the 2023 season. So that's my first time as a host saying that we've lost 2 straight here in Philadelphia.
You're spoiled as a host.
Yeah, man, no doubt. 2 straight losses for this team. They got to bounce back this week. John, I do want to take a look at the defense. You know, they started off pretty good, John, this year. And I don't want to say they've regressed to a point where it's gotten bad, but obviously the Giants dropped 34 in your head last week without Malik Neighbors and with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. But why do you think the defense has kind of regressed? Is it as simple as too much on their plate, not enough help from the offense? What do you think of the defense and kind of what they've been so far this year before we talk about some of the individual players?
Well, I do think, one of the things, the defense was so good last year, but the offense was a part of that from the standpoint of, constantly playing from the lead, closing out games. The effectiveness of the running game also helped the defense, as Nick Sirianni calls it, the ultimate team game. So, sometimes it was the offense, sometimes it was the defense, but I think they complemented each other very well. Obviously, this season, you're not getting that same compliment for the defense. So I think that impacts them. But number one is talent, as always. Players over plays. And everybody they lost that, way too many people just say, it'll be fine. Well, it's not fine. And one of them you're going to see this week and all the kerfuffle. Way to go, Ed. Isaiah Rodgers. He'd look good with the Eagles right now. If you would project it in versus Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson. Jalen Hunt ain't Josh Sweat. Moro Jomo ain't Milton Williams. And on and on and on. They lost significant defensive talent. Darius Slay. I mean, nobody forget about, because Slay, the assumption was, well, they're moving on. Yeah, of course. 33 years old. You lost Slay and the buffer and Isaiah Rodgers. And now you're down to Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. So number one, I would say talent. The talent has taken a hit. Number two, the complementary football hasn't been as good. And number three, some of the big time players that are still back, Jalen Carter, are not playing up to the level that was expected of them. I think you have to put that in. So, and even somebody like Zach Bond, who I think has been tremendous for the most part, I think that it was baked in that it couldn't quite possibly be as good as last year. And I don't think it's been quite as good as last year. And that was always going to be difficult. So I think those are some of the issues you're dealing with. And then Nolan Smith injury and all the edge problems. Obo. Anytime you have multiple injuries at the same position, that's usually an issue in the NFL. And that wasn't a strength to begin with because of the losses of Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. Don't forget Brandon as well. So the players aren't as good. The talent isn't as good. The complementary football isn't as good. And some of the good players aren't playing as good.
Are they playing good enough for what we should have expected?
Yeah, I think they played better than what I expected, at least early.
That's why I've been so on the offense. I know we've talked a lot about offense, and some people, talk about something other than the offense. I get it. First off, we spent all summer never talking about Jalen. I just had a comment in here. I'm surprised it's a segment on not Jalen Hurts. If you've listened to this show for longer than a month.
We went 6 months without
you remember John used to say, we don't even talk about the quarterback anymore. So shut up. It's the circumstance. But I think the defense has been fine based on what we should have expected coming into the year. It's the offense that's not holding its weight right now. But John, interesting coming into this game. The two worst teams in football in 3 and outs. Number one, the Eagles. They're 35%. Yeah. They're the worst team in football. And the second worst team in football are the Philadelphia Eagles, 34.9%. And then you also have third down conversion rate. The Eagles are the 6th worst in the NFL, 34.7%. And the Vikings are 31%, third worst in the NFL. So these are two teams that are leading the pack in 3 and outs and bottom of the pack in converting on third downs right now. That could be a big part of this game.
Yeah, but here's the difference in that number.
All right, let's hear it.
The Eagles have Jalen Hurts, and the Vikings played J.J. McCarthy for 2 games. So their numbers are incredibly skewed because of the ineffectiveness of the first 2 games. Or was it 2.5? I forget, whatever it was, but you get the point. The Eagles have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They had arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL, at least for that time span. That to me is the difference. Like one team should be at the bottom of the league because they made that poor, in my opinion, poor evaluation. If they had Sam Darnold, they wouldn't be at the bottom of the league. The Eagles are at the bottom of the league with a good quarterback. That's why it's more concerning from my perspective. The Vikings are at the bottom of the league because they had a really bad quarterback. And if you shifted that back to what they were last year, they'd be at the top of the league.
Right.
So that's why it's more concerning for me from the Eagles' perspective. Now, it doesn't, for this game, but if you're evaluating the circumstances, that's why it's more of a concern. Like, it's understandable. Not that anybody likes it in Minnesota. I'm sure they all hate it. But guess what? If you don't have a good quarterback, you're going to have issues. The Eagles are supposed to have a good quarterback. They're not supposed to have these issues.
Yeah. And by the way, the Minnesota Vikings are the second best third down defense in the NFL. So yeah, they're really good on third down defense.
Yeah, and that's when they bring all the exotic looks and all the confusion and all that stuff. So if you're 3rd and 10 against them, it's interesting. If both of these teams are 3rd and 10, you might as well walk off the field.
Is there a betting prop out there for our gamblers in the chat? But bet on Braden Mann this week. How many punts is Braden Mann going to have this week?
I think the Eagles are going to have a good game. I don't think he's going to. By no means. I think they're going to be able.
Where is this confidence coming from, John?
I think they're going to. I think
yesterday, John.
I think they're going to be able to run the football against this team.
Okay,
that's it. It's got nothing to do with the passing game. I think they're going to be able to run the football.
Is there a little bit of a blueprint out there right now on how to take away our running game, or is it as simple as the offensive line is just not dominant right
now? I just think, the offensive line and, penalties and things like that.
The offensive line, wouldn't it more be predicated on us righting the ship as compared to, getting to go against the Vikings defense? Obviously, they're less equipped to stop it, which gives you a bigger advantage. But if the offensive line,
I mean, if they continue to get, pre-snap penalties, if they continue to get up to the line late, if they continue to get tackles for loss, it's more predicated on the Eagles getting their house in order. But if they have their house in order, this is a team that can't stop the running game if the house is in order. And I think that's why they're so excited. I think they see that.
Is that why Saquon was foaming out the mouth? I'm not going to give you too much, but the meeting was amazing.
I think so. I think that's exactly it. Like, they know if they just show up and do what they're supposed to, they're going to be able to run the football against this team.
I know. I'm just worried about physically. I mean, are they physically able to do it? They might want to do it. They might dream of doing what they did last year. I'm sure they do. But if they're not physically capable of doing it because of the injuries and whatever,
maybe. But and Landon is, I don't know what you're going to see from Landon. But if he's healthier, he's going to bully that team. I think they see an opportunity to get back to their bullying mindset. Wow. They're gonna push those guys off the ball. There's a bunch of quick, undersized, and that guys that they could push off the ball.
We'll see what they end up doing.
Like Vita Vea is not a good matchup. They don't have that. This is the exact opposite.
Right.
They
got good pass rushers. They don't really have run stoppers.
Yeah. So I think they see an opportunity to be the bully again, coming off a week where everybody said they got out physical. And I don't think they necessarily got out physical. There were certain plays, like everybody overreacts to certain plays. Like, how many times do I say when Jared Verse knocked Mailata on his ass, or whoever knocked Nolan Smith on his ass, versus when Nolan really lit up somebody? That's all about leverage. You're looking at one play and you're making these grandiose assumptions of, oh, so-and-so out physical when it could be the exact opposite. If you watch the other 50 snaps, maybe the other guy really took it to him. But when you see Cam Scatterboo dragging people into the end zone, well, they got out physical. Well, yeah, Cam Scatterboo's going to out physical Adoree Jackson. Yeah.
John, when you rewatched the game, I'm assuming you did. Maybe you didn't. Whatever. Eagles Giants. Did you notice anything on the lack of effort? Because I know you dismissed it a little bit, on the post game, which is fine. In the moment, you're not going to go there. Which I'm not. We had a couple guests though that brought it up. BLG brought it up. Jason Kelsey, John, on his podcast that came out yesterday, said on there that one of the toughest things to watch was the disparity, basically, in will and effort in the game.
Yeah, I'm very wary of questioning people's efforts.
I get why.
And some people are very comfortable with it. I just don't. I think it's ludicrous to think you can assume somebody's effort level. That's not to say there aren't instances where teams, especially late in the season, especially bad teams, pack it in. But for the most part, every NFL player, good NFL player, knows that the camera's always on them, the eye and the size.
Right.
The last thing you want to do is literally, you can get beat physically. People understand that's part of the game. The last thing you want to show is lack of effort, because everybody else has got the same film and they go, well, this guy just gives up. And so I'm very wary, number one, of saying stuff like that. I'm surprised. I didn't hear Kelsey say that. I'm surprised it came from him. But I'll listen to people like Kelsey. Yeah, I mean, if he sees it, listen to him. I'm not equipped to gauge somebody's effort.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And so, I mean, I noticed it obviously, and it bothered me because I'm not used to. I mean, we're not used to seeing that from this team. This team normally beats the piss out of people. They did not do that versus the Giants at all, no doubt. All right, John, is it simple to get the offense going then, to just run this rock? I mean, this offensive line got to start playing better, and boom, everything's going to be fine and dandy in Eagle land?
Well, I do think that's the key. Yeah, I mean, that's the way they're built. That's the way they're built to win. So that's the way they have to win. So to me, it's pretty simple. You fix that. What you're not going to do is change the entire offense in game 7.
Yeah, right.
And go, oh, we can't do this, so we're gonna. I think that's the Madden sort of mentality drifting into, like, it's not realistic. You play the way you practice, and by that I mean you play what you practice. Like, one of the things when Saquon's screaming on the field, like, it wasn't in the playbook or whatever he said. And I'm like, dude, it's a wheel route. It's in the playbook. But yeah, you create this. And while Saquon said, you're in the moment, you say something emotionally. What he probably meant to say is, we didn't have it in the game plan that week. But if you watch the Eagles, you've seen them run wheel routes.
Absolutely.
So I think there's a lot of sort of, if you want to call it something else, feel free. I call it a video game mentality. All right, the runs, we're just going to become this high flying passing team. It doesn't work like that. You don't practice. I just go back. I wish Jeff Kerr was there. That Penn State, now that James Franklin is gone, way back. It was when Trace McSorley was there. I think I don't know if it was Miles or it might have been Saquon, but I don't know. It was way back. And they faced a 4th and 5 against Ohio State. So, in a game on the line, and they had to have it, and they ran a zone read. And it's like, everybody's killing James Frank. That's what they practiced. That's all they did. That's all they did with Trace McSorley.
Right.
And the whole, whether it was an RPO mechanic or just a legit zone read where he's going to keep it you have these different options off the play, and people are like, and I remember defending James Franklin at the time, which isn't, it's like you don't practice for 6 months and then turn into Bill Walsh on third down. Oh, let me run this really complicated West Coast offense.
Yeah, right.
It just doesn't work that way.
I was watching some Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice tape the other night. That's some good shit, man. Holy, I dream of seeing that one.
Well, yeah, you can't practice it, so you're not going to see it. You don't have the time to practice it. But, the closest you're going to get to it is the Kyle Shanahan stuff, the Ben Johnson stuff.
Who's your favorite quarterback of all time?
My favorite quarterback? That's an interesting question. Probably Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's played the position at a higher level than Aaron. It's a lunatic. I'm not talking about a person.
Yeah.
But as far as being able to manipulate things, certainly in the modern era, I think you have to break it up. So in the modern era, it's probably Aaron Rodgers. If you go back to the 70s when you had all those great quarterbacks, that's a tougher conversation. I would probably go Staubach, which would upset people because he's Cowboys.
Yep. When was Montana? He was 80s, right?
Yeah.
Early 80s, yeah.
I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't want to dispute Joe Montana.
No, I like what you say, where if you're in the conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of like to use that framework as well. A lot of people are in the conversation. It's not, people have preferences.
Yeah.
All right, John, I got another question for you, and it's back to the defensive side. Why does Reed Blankenship suck this year?
Well, I don't think he sucks, but
he's playing so
bad. He has, compared to what he has been, he's not playing to the level that he sort of set for himself. And again, he's a guy who bet on himself and it's not working, at least to this point. I think part of it is, again, the complementary nature of football. You're not playing from the lead as much. You're not in these situations where you force, people talk about the Eagles being predictable on offense. Well, that's what the defense was able to do last year with opposing offenses, put them in these obvious passing situations where you know what's coming. And again, the offense helps with that. The way the offense succeeded last year helped greatly with that. So it's as usual, it's a whole bunch of things. Also, now he's babysitting back there as well.
Yeah, but Dag puts in the chat, you want to cover for Adoree Jackson?
And guess what? They don't like Adoree, and that's fine. Adoree knows what he's doing. The bigger issue are the younger guys,
right?
Not just Kaylee Ringo, but Drew Makuba, who everybody loves. Look, he don't know what he's doing yet.
No.
So part of it is that as well. He's got even more responsibility to sort of make sure that those guys are on the same page. And you saw, like, Makuba had a really bad game against the Giants. And, I think he'll bounce back. I think he's got the proper NFL secondary mentality. You're going to have bad games, but he did not play well against the Giants. And, you don't have CJ back there, which, kind of a pain in the ass personality wise, but he knows how to play. Obviously Slay, Isaiah. And now you're dealing with Drew Makuba and Adoree Jackson and Kaylee Ringo. So there's more on his plate.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it has to do with that. But individually, he's also not playing.
$15 million, though, you got to handle more on your plate.
Individually, he's also not playing as well. So it's a bunch of things, but I don't think he's playing like these grandiose, like the Carter stuff. It's just crazy to me coming off that game. He's awful. He hasn't made it off that game. His presence alone when he steps on the field.
Yeah.
makes you a better team.
Well, but he hasn't been. I mean, John, we talked about him as like he could be the best defensive tackle in football. He hasn't been that this year.
No, he's not even close. And I think that's legitimate if you want to frame it like that.
I mean, you're right. He's been good, but by his standard, or at least by our expectation, maybe
as long as you add in that context. But that's why I was so surprised and I pushed back. He's been awful. That was the quote.
Was that ball
I'm like,
up on him?
I'm like, I'm like, come on, dude. And I get it. That's part of the, and I'm talking about it. And I'm sure a million other people retweeted it. And that's part of the goal. But awful? Well, they're a hell of a lot better when he's on the field than when he's off the field. I know that. I know Minnesota would prefer he's not on the field this week. Yeah, I just that kind of stuff is over the top. Now, I'm not comparing Reed Blankenship to Jalen Carter by any stretch of the imagination, but I think some of the Reed has played terrible talk is a little bit over the top. He's got a lot. He's got a lot on his plate with what's going on in the back end. Yeah, man. They took a lot of hits on the deep. How many? When that one commenter said, "Oh, we did a segment without Jalen Hurts," we did 157 consecutive segments without Jalen Hurts because all I tried to inform people was, "Hey guys, they lost a boatload of shit on defense."
Yeah, and I was trying to talk myself into it's gonna be all right. Moro Jomo will replace Milton Williams. Yeah, John, I'm looking like I got to.
Well, I think Moro's the one who's played pretty well.
Oh, to your point, he's played well, but you were telling me he's going to play okay. He's not going to replace Milton Williams, and that's kind of what you were telling me. That's more true.
Yeah, and he has played pretty well, and and he's played better. Yeah, I think he had a slow start. He's starting to really pick it up, but I think he's been fine. I don't think Moro's the issue, but he's not Milt Williams, but I don't think he's the issue.
Yeah. Let's get to some super chats here, John. We got about 8 minutes up to go on the show today. Appreciate everybody for being here, man. Don't forget to hit that like button for us. We've had a lot of great comments this week, a lot of great super chats, a lot of great support from all the great people of JAKIB Nation. So thanks to all of you. JH checking in. He sent this early in the show. Sorry it took me a while to get to it, my friend. He says, a wise man once said, if we aren't built to throw the ball, who is? Ball doesn't come out on time. High average time to throw. Just saying.
Well, the ball doesn't come out on time. I mean, I've been pretty consistent with that, but that's not new. That's not new this year.
I do agree with you, though, that I know you can't take the quarterback out of it, but I don't think there's a team in football better built to throw the ball.
Yeah, see, that's where I disagree. They're not built to throw the football. They don't, again, practice. They're not, they built their team a certain way.
Yeah, but who's better built to throw the football than we
are? You want to line them up?
I mean, I'm just talking about personnel wise. I get it. You're right. I mean, the circumstance, the practice, but that's all hinging on the quarterback because of his skill sets.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, they're not built to throw the football. I mean, yes. If you
10 of the other 10 out of 11 offensive starters would be maybe the best built to throw the football ever in the league right now.
Well, I wouldn't say ever, but
no, not ever. I mean right now in the league. Sorry, that was an exaggeration.
Well, yeah, I mean,
receivers, tight end, even a third receiver. Jahan Dotson's a pretty good player for a third receiver.
Well, again, then stop talking about Jalen Hurts like he's the same thrower. Forget about the elite guys, the Burrows and that type. You can throw.
Bengals. Like, come on, man. The Bengals' offensive line is awful. It's paper mache.
Well, yeah, but if you had Joe Burrow here, you'd be equipped to what the commenter said. You'd be better built to throw the football better than anybody else. I'd agree with that. Yeah, you don't have him here.
I know you can't take the quarterback out. I'm just saying, everything else on the offense.
Everything is forget about that. I'm looking at the top 10 quarterbacks from from PFF right now. Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. I'm skipping Marcus Mariota because he's not relevant. Drake May in the second year, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, skipping a couple guys who are different. Baker, Josh Allen, even Daniel Jones. If you go down to Daniel Jones, every single if you have that style of quarterback, I agree with the sentiment. You don't, so I agree with the way the Eagles play.
I get you can't, but I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation. Would Joe Burrow have a better passing offense with Cincinnati as it's constructed today, or with the Eagles as it's constructed?
Yeah, that's my point, though. We're arguing the same thing. This team that I'm arguing against the comment that the commenter made. Could you put it up again?
Yeah, let me put it up.
If we aren't built to throw the football, I presume we means the Eagles. So that means they currently are built to throw the football. That's what I'm disagreeing with. They are not. They are not
because of the quarterback, though, right? Not because
of the quarterback. Yes, if you replace the quarterback with Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow, you are better equipped to throw the ball than anybody else. I agree with that. You don't have Joe Burrow. We aren't built to throw the ball is correct. It is a complementary aspect to the offense.
I got you. Dank says, what's up, Dank? Wisconsin had Bond, Van Ginkel, and TJ Edwards. Holy
linebacker you, man. Linebacker you.
There's Nate the guy. What's up, Nate? Howie has been great, but this was his worst offseason ever. He let too many people walk. Stevie Wonder could see that we needed the defensive back, defensive end, and a safety. And John's been saying it for 6 months.
Well, yeah, but I also say, Howie's job is different. Howie's job is not about 2025. It's partially 2025. He reset for what's coming. He's got a different job.
Do you think he was more focused on the future than he was 25? I get it. You got to think about both as a GM, but certain
he was willing to reboot the organization. That's what he did.
Right.
This was the time when they said we have to reboot. That was their decision.
So he was more future than normal.
Yes. Now it's very, I realize everybody wants everything in the moment at all times, but that's not, you can't have Milton Williams and then Josh Sweat and keep going with Slay and then be in a position to pay all your up and coming younger players. But I realize everybody's going to, and that's why Howie gets so frustrated. And you've seen it. And there's one particular reporter who constantly asks him questions about things in a vacuum. And Howie will get the frustrated look on his face and he'll say exactly that. It's not about one move. The last particular question that set this off was Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green wasn't even a part of this team's plans, but because he was the 15th overall pick, and because everybody has this mentality of Jeff Stoutland can turn chicken salad, chicken, what in the chicken salad.
Yeah, they've now taken that to Vic.
And everybody said, well, that's a terrible trade. And by the way, with CJ, I mean, it didn't work out there. It didn't work out in Baltimore. It didn't, whatever. But the point is he was going to cut him or he was going to trade him, and they were able to get a trade and get a pick and get a player for player. It wasn't really relevant, and people act like it's bad trade. It's like a nothing trade. If you want to say bad trade, at least early, Tank Bigsby. That's a bad trade.
That's a bad trade.
But and even that, I'm joking.
The only trade that was good this summer, John, was the one where we reacquired the offensive line we let walk.
I'm partially joking if you're listening, Howie. I mean, first of all, maybe, hey, AJ Dillon's not going to be here next year. If they have him for another year, maybe he turns into the backup running back next year. It turns into a good trade. But right now, it looks pretty bad. You can't return kickoffs. They spun him as a kickoff returner. You can't
Howie,
even catch the
listen,
ball.
I hope 26 works better than 25 has so far because
Yeah, but all of these trades are essentially nothing trades. I mean, Jacorian Bennett, that's everybody's, and he'll be back at some point. And the other cornerbacks are so bad, maybe he'll get another opportunity, and maybe he'll turn it on and be better at least than Dory Jackson or Keely Ringo. All these trades are like nothing trades, and everybody just conflated in their mind that they were these big moves. Just trying to get incrementally better, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. But the longer term, the whole philosophy of the off season was, hey, down the road, we got to pay Jalen Carter, we got to pay Nolan Smith, we got to pay Quinyon Mitchell, we got to pay Cooper DeJean, and we got to get our ducks in a row. We got to start getting our ducks in a row. Now, Jalen Carter's probably not going to get paid as much as he thought unless he starts picking it up. Nolan Smith probably isn't going to get paid as much as he thought unless he can, prove he's healthy and start playing at a consistent level, prove he can stay healthy. So many things in the NFL can change overnight practically. Even Quinyon looks like lights out. Cooper is lights out. I would say Cooper is just,
Cooper.
Barring injury, he can do everything. Things can change quickly in this league.
Yeah.
Does anybody think Jalen Carter is going to be the highest paid defensive player in football now? Because I don't.
I don't either. Brian, we got to keep rolling here. Brian Pump says, fellas, we need a new quarterback at the helm. We can stop being a real issue. We know, number one, the $250 million wannabe MJ is a hindrance. Pumper is taking it to new levels, John.
Well,
and 30th, I bet you're going to have more Brian Pumpers in this chat.
Well, if the season ends poorly, that's going to be a conversation they have to have in the off season, not during the season. Do they want to shift? And this is if things go poorly. They might. There are no good teams in this league. There's nobody I sit there and say, "Oh, the Eagles can't beat this team." So they could just as easily figure it out but things could go off the rails, and if things go off the rails, I think they have to make a serious decision if they want to go to a different style of offense. And if you want to go to a different style of offense, you probably have to go to a different quarterback.
Let's go to Josh Herman. What's up, Josh? Appreciate your support, my man. He says, if they have a close loss like they did against Denver with Hurts throwing for yards and Barkley not having a good game, are there going to be riots in the streets as opposed to getting blown out?
I got to read that. If they have a close loss like they did against Denver with Hurts throwing for Barkley. No, I don't think they're going to riot in the streets. I think they're going to say, why can't they run the ball? I think, first
Josh,
of all,
you know how John always tells you there's an art to asking questions to certain people? That was not the phrase they used to Johnny Mac.
Yeah, I mean, I look, people are very spoiled in Philadelphia because of the run, and any loss is a catastrophe in their mind. To me, the bigger concern for the organization is the running game and figuring out the running game, because that's how they built the team. And if they can't run the ball, they're kind of screwed. So I think that's the bigger issue at all times. They won a damn Super Bowl. And again, I can't make people notice, but they had a bunch of these shitty passing games and won the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They on the other hand, they had a good passing game, not a great, but a good passing game in the actual Super Bowl. And they didn't have a good running game. And people could turn that, but also you're leaving out the defense completely dominating to the point they didn't get past the 50-yard line for 8 or 9 drives or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't know why people conveniently leave that out of the Super Bowl. It was such a big part of it. I mean, it's a part of the
It was
story.
the part of it, the part of it. Game was over.
Yeah, literally. All right, one more super chat. Now you got to run. Bird Gang says, between no pass rush and our weak corners, I got a feeling we're about to see prime 2017 Carson this week.
I don't think you're going to see that.
Carson here in 8 years.
Carson was freaking great in 2017. I mean, great.
Is that stretch of quarterback in Philly we've had? And
I mean, he was going to be the MVP of the NFL. Yeah. So, I mean, he was unbelievable that season. Yeah, it's one of the strangest things ever. Because I remember at the time that, and I apologized to this person who said, I think Dak Prescott is better in the midst of Carson's MVP run. Is better than Carson Wentz. And I laughed out loud. I went, are you fucking kidding me? Again, he was playing think of the Eagles quarterback. I mean, it's not that far ago. He was Patrick Mahomes. He was Josh Allen. He was Lamar Jackson.
2017 Wentz was something else.
It was unbelievable. And no, you're not going to see that again.
But to answer your question, hell no. All right, John, what's on the agenda today, brother?
Practice today, 2:15-ish, I believe. Locker room, no coaches.
The vibes will be high again, John.
Get the bigger right. Hey, man. Hey, the vibe for me is different. The guys being professionals is a vibe to me.
I agree. I understood what you were saying. It is just funny to hear you say it, John. That's all. Man. I get what you were saying, though. It's still funny, though.
Not moping, because I think that's important. Like, all right, you had a shitty week, don't mope. They always talk about going back to work, the process, yada, yada, yada. Do it then. And they did it.
Clear directive on how to act this week in the locker room, I think.
And they did it. Yeah. They did it. So I think that's a positive sign. So vibe may be the wrong word.
Yeah, I can't believe I wrote down the word vibes. And
I don't want to step on Devin's toes and all the TV people's toes. So maybe I got to come up with a different word than vibe.
All right, John Vibes McMullen. What is your final thought on the show today?
Yeah, positive day. That's all you can do. Positive day, practice as Big Fangio. Hey, you do well in practice, you're probably going to do well in the game.
Yeah.
So I think it's positive.
Good.
And I think it's good. Styles make fights. I think it's a good matchup for the Eagles.
Good stuff. Johnny Mac, great show, my man. I will catch you tomorrow on a Football Friday edition of Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks, all.
All right. Thanks, J Mac. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen. He is the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. I don't give a shit who says what. All right. I love Johnny Mac, and I love listening to him, and that was a good show today. Another good show. I see people still crying. Roll Philly. When are you going to stop crying? Roll Philly. Joey B, what's going on? We'll have a good Zander time today. We'll talk about some of this. We got one positive day. It's the first positive day yesterday that we've had since the loss. All right, so I'm gonna put ourselves back in the frame of mind. Let's build on that positive day. Let's get ready to go and win another football game. We lost 2 straight. Okay, we won like 20 straight before that. Let's get back in the win column. Let's get back in the win column. All right, I think we're gonna get back in the win column here. I do. I think we got to this week. If we win this Vikings game. And then you can envision splitting with the Giants, which I do believe we should. I mean, if we get swept by the Giants, holy shit. It's going to be tough to come up here and be optimistic. I'll tell you that much. Okay. I'm not an optimistic, by nature when it comes to my sports teams. I never have been, even when I was younger, If they lose to the Giants next week, we got big problems. But look, if you win this week versus the Vikings on the road, get some confidence back. Then you beat the Giants at home. You go into the bye week at 6-2. You feel good. All right. You got a good team, you got a good roster, you got good players. You got to write some things, but you're in a good spot coming out of the bye week. They dropped this game. I think that changes the complexion completely. All right. I think this changes the complexion completely. So let's see what we got. I'll go to some comments in the chat. I see everybody a little worked up over in the comments. Relax, everybody. Let's take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath. Take a collective deep breath. All right, as a fan base. I think the Eagles get back in the win column this week. I do. I don't think we see 2017 Carson. I'm feeling like Quinyon Mitchell might play, and if Quinyon Mitchell can play, I think we're in a good spot. All right. So we'll see, though. We will see. How's everybody feeling about the game? Curtis, that wasn't fake news. Jason, I heard what Jason said. He didn't use the word effort, but what's the difference? Curtis, what are you, splitting hairs? One team had energy, one team didn't. That's effort, dude. That's effort. You show up to a football game, you got a 2-hour, 3-hour game once a week. You show up and you don't play with energy. What does that mean, Curtis? Please decipher that for me. You're splitting hairs, Curtis. I understand where you're coming from, but it is what it is. Knowing John, you're right. He probably will correct it because John likes to be perfectly accurate. All right. SmackDown says we got this. I think you're right, SmackDown. All right. No, you didn't mislead me, Curtis. You didn't mislead me at all. Mad Bird, what's up, brother? Team needs to show out, and I think they will. I agree. I'm hopeful this week. All right. I'm hopeful this week. I agree, Mr. Jeezy. It's basically this simple this week. D-line gets home, throws off that offense. We should be able to prevail in this game. We should, man. We should. We really should. All right. We should. Roll Philly says, I'm feeling great. 100% confident. Hurts Steelers game coming. You heard it here first. Roll Philly, he does have a tendency to respond when the noise gets loud in that way. Let's see if he can do it this week. But I think I don't know. I think they're gearing up to run the football a lot, man. All right. I think they're gearing up to run the football a lot this week. Hopefully they're able to do it. Tyler Kilgore. What's up, Tyler? What is up, Tyler? He says, Hurts as MVP game or bench him. I'm TK Fresh in the chat. All right, Tyler. I know who you are now, Tyler. You told me. TK Fresh is Tyler Kilgore. Tyler Kilgore is TK Fresh. TK Fresh comes in, drops some supers. The Canadian Tyler. All right, so I'm going to call you from now on. Canada Tyler. Is LJ here? LJ was DMing me on Instagram last night. He's very upset that we're now blocking LJ out. I answered back. I said, LJ, you add fucking nothing to our channel anymore. You are everything you say Sills is. You are a mopey, loser, hater. All right? That's what you are. You are a low-life hater. He said, I'll make a deal with you. Please let me back in the chat. LJ says, please let me back in the chat. I said, I'll think about it, LJ. You bum. You bum. LJ was DMing me. You guys want me to read them to you? You guys want me to read you the LJ DMs? Let me pull them up. Look. Look, he said to me epistles. I answered him back. I ripped him there. And then he sent me some more epistles. Oh, man. That's funny. There you go, Twiz. You're on LJ's side. Now, Twiz, it's one thing to troll, though. If you're just going to come in and say all personal shit to Cilio 100 times a show and spam, and you don't send super chats, you're not a member on the channel, he does nothing to support. Does nothing to support. Does nothing to support. And then he just constantly takes, he constantly just takes shots, personal shots. And I'm like, that's not what this is about. It's not what it's about. Let LJ back or I'm calling the ADL. Yeah, you won't be the first one to call the ADL. You and Bob Lang on line number 2. All right. On hold. The ADL has got you on hold. All right. It's not about, I don't care if you troll. We have plenty of trolls. We really do. LJ lost his fastball completely. He adds nothing to the channel. That's what I responded to him. He said, you add nothing to the channel anymore, LJ. You take personal shots and you spam over and over and over again. There's no super chats, no support, and you're everything that you say Sills is. A low-life hater. You need our platform way more than we need you. And he responded, I'll super chat with Sills actually talks football. So he's trying to tell me how to program. And then he says, I'll tell you what, I'll refrain from the personal shots and I'll renew my membership. But tell your mods to grow some balls and stop being emotional. I've been supporting you guys since 21. All right, maybe we'll let LJ back in for another day. I think somebody timed out LJ yesterday, Denny. I think it was Flex timed out LJ. I'm not mad at him for it. LJ, as I said to him, he adds nothing anymore. You know, we have trolls who add some stuff. Like hip hop. Hip hop hates me. Hip hop's like, oh my God, how could you talk about Jalen Hurts? How could you talk about Jalen Hurts? I'm like, he's the quarterback of the 30th best offense in football. How could you not talk about Jalen Hurts? You know? But hip hop is entitled to his beliefs as he shares them in the chat. Keith Johnson says freedom of speech. Keith, what do you think this is? This is a dictatorship. All right. Vladimir Krause. That is who I am. All right. I like hip hop too. He's right. That's my quarterback. Dak is a quarterback defender too. We love Dak. All right. Let me make sure I get all my supers. Josh Herman. What's up, Josh? Zander, all I was saying is there's already talk of benching the quarterback, and we lost 2 games. If we lose another one, even if it's close, I don't know how we'll react. Josh, believe me, I agree with you. I said on Cilio's show it's a must-win game. I do. I think it's a must-win game. You're gonna have the floor fall out from under you. All right. Exactly, Riot. Thank you for stating the obvious. First Amendment protection from the government, not from Zander. Exactly right. All right. This is my business. This is my platform. Okay. I spend all my money on it. When you guys spend as much money on this platform as I do, then you can check in on that. Must-win game this week, Tony. I agree. Here's unapologetic Christian. What's up, Zander? Help me understand why Jalen can't play like he did in both Super Bowls. What's the difference between that offense and the regular season offense, my friend? If you had the answer to that, you'd be working in a front office. I don't know why Jalen can't be consistent. I don't know why they don't ask him to be consistent. I don't know. Unapologetic Christian. Sometimes the guy looks like he's the greatest quarterback in the league. Sometimes he looks like he can't complete the most simple of passes. It's the great anomaly of Jalen Hurts. All right. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl MVP, could have been 2. Yeah, but it's a team game. All right. Don't act like the defense didn't help him. All right. Stop. I get it. He played great in the Super Bowl. You know, and by the way, John corrected me on this before, and I got to say it. People are going to hate it. Here comes hip hop. Here comes Roll Philly Dogs. Get ready. Get the keyboards ready. Start typing. Get ready. Jalen was very clutch in 2 Super Bowls. I agree. Jalen was absolute dog shit in the first 2 playoff games last year. Those are winner go home games. Like, you know, those are winner go home games. The playoff games. He was dog shit. He was trash last year against the Packers and against the Rams. Shit. Be honest. He was shit in those games. Be honest. If you're not honest, disregard it. Okay? Did the defense help in 20? I think the team that set the record for NFL sacks did help them. Yes, I do. I think the team that led the NFL in sacks and set a record for crying out loud, I think they helped them. Yeah, I think the defense helped in 22. JB3 says, I'll stand by. He was not dog shit. He was dog shit. What are you talking about? He was trash versus the Packers in the playoffs last year. Let's pull it up. Let's go take a look. Eagles versus Packers. Let's look at the playoff game last year. All right, we won 22-10. Jordan Love had 3 picks. I wonder if the defense helped. 3 picks. I wonder if the defense helped in that game. He was 13-21 for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley was 25 carries for 120 yards, 119 yards. Devontae with 4 catches for 55 yards. AJ had 1 catch for 10 yards. Goddard had 4 catches for 47 yards. I mean, how is your top receiver in that game have 4 catches for 55 yards? Quinion had a pick. Zach Bond had a pick. Slay had a pick. Is this Ryan? That's you, right? That's Ryan with just the no last name. Ryan G says, I know how to be honest. I eased up my trolling after Zander roasted the shit out of me. Sometimes you got to be humbled in life. Well, we could all use it. I've been humbled this year by my off-season predictions. Moro Jomo, Jalix Hunt. Believe me, I got him. Line him up. Somebody sent it to me. Is Zander going to act like he was and say Jalix Hunt was going to be great? I'm like, brother, I've never shied away from eating crow. I have plenty. The plates of crow for me this year are stacked up. And they might continue to stack if Jalen Hurts turns into the MVP candidate again. Because, boy, I was tough on him this week. That's all right. He deserved to be. He earned me being tough on him. Brian Pumper. What up, Pump? Hurts was utterly dreadful in those playoff games. Did he even throw for 200? Yeah, he was trash in the playoff games. That's fine to say. The team won the game. You know, we went on to win the Super Bowl. He was great when it mattered in the NFC title game and the Super Bowl. So, you know, it's all good. But, yeah, he wasn't good in the first 2 playoff games. We can be honest about it. We won. Who cares? It's history. It's over. It's all right. We can be honest about it now. He was trash in those first 2 playoff games. Defense was great, per usual. Saquon was great, per usual. I didn't say he was trash against – Zeal, use your ears. I didn't say he was trash against Washington. I said he was trash against the Rams and against Green Bay. Not Washington, Zeal. Zeal, open the fucking ears. Holy moly. Open the ears, Zeal. Just be consistent. Daz, it's not easy to be consistent on the shows when the team is the most inconsistent team known to man. Legitimately. Is there any team in the league that is more inconsistent than this fucking team? They come out one half and they dominate, and then they come out another half and they can't complete a pass. Here's Roll Philly. I knew he would get his keyboard out. I knew it. Dog shit. You're full of dog shit, Zander. The defense allowed 32 points in the Super Bowl. All right, Roll Philly. You're right. The team that had 70 fucking sacks in the season, all right, didn't help the quarterback get to the Super Bowl. I know. Okay, Roll Philly. I might be full of dog shit. You're full of Delulu. You're full of that Bob Lang Delulu. Delulu. I also think trash is a big, strong of a word to describe his playoff performances. Okay. Shit, poop, bad, below mediocre, less than stellar. You know, I mean, what all right, Zeal, pick a word. He didn't do much. I mean, come on, man. Philly said, Philly 5598 says, Z, Jalen has said it's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look. Also, when he did it, how everyone wanted him to, didn't get him to win. All right, 5-5. So the 30th ranked offense is what we're going to get. Okay. You're missing the point. Dank, I'm open to look at the different point. He says, if you want to bring up the 2 playoff games, you have to look at the context of the defense in Super Bowl 57. Well, I am, but the 2 playoff games were not for Super Bowl 57. Right? I mean, they're 2 different years. Super Bowl 57, yeah, he played great. I mean, what do you want? A fucking fortune cookie because he played good in the Super Bowl 57? We lost the game. It's history. It was more on the defense than the offense, 100%. It's one game. There was also 2 playoff games last year. He played like dog shit, and the defense carried the water. Again, it's okay. It is what it is. I'm not mad at him for it. It is what it is. He played great in Super Bowl 57. He played like dog shit in the divisional game last year and the wild card game. It is what it is. Original Philly. Let's go. I want some people who disagree with me today. Too many. I don't want yes men. Original Philly says, we're going to keep skipping over the fact that if you put 2025 and 2017 highlights side by side, they're running the same plays. Are they? Are they? I don't know. Are they? I'd have to look. 2025 and 2017? Who are you talking about? The Eagles? Jalen Hurts had a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio in the playoffs. That's dog shit. Is that the only thing that quantifies how a quarterback plays? Roll Philly, he had like 90 yards versus the Rams. And 50 of them came on one play. It was at the start of the game when he ran for a 50-yard touchdown. He didn't throw the ball at all. He looked like crap versus the Rams. What? Are you seriously telling me you think Jalen Hurts played good football versus the Rams and the Packers in the playoffs last year? Because if that's what you're telling me, then we can just agree to disagree. Or are you making the case that he played good? Nick deserves more blame. I know, Walkhart. Everybody wants to run Nick out of town. I know. AJ dropped 5 of them, including a 50-yard tutty. Rewatch the game, please. All right, JB3, I will. The quarterback wasn't good in those games. Exactly, Blizzle. Blizzle says, be Lizzle. I don't know how to say that. Defense knocked out 2 quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game. I know. Brandon, this is a conversation people are not ready for. You know, I had these people in my comments. So like, he threw 300 passes without an interception, the most in franchise history. I'm like, that's good. But when you don't push the ball into tight windows, all right, and you don't throw high-risk throws, which most other quarterbacks in the NFL have to throw to be successful, obviously your chances and your rate of negative plays and turnovers drastically decreases. It's just common sense. Common sense. If you're throwing the ball in the tight windows, if you're throwing the ball, downfield, if you're throwing it deep to AJ, Devontae more than we do, you're going to increase your rate of turnovers. They don't do that. They throw the ball underneath. They don't throw the ball downfield. Jalen Hurts is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now throwing the ball downfield this year. He is. He's like 10 to 28 with a 5 passer rating and a 30 completion percentage. He's like 30th in the NFL passing the ball downfield this year. He does some things well, but that's just something right now he's struggling at. If you're struggling to see that, I mean, I don't know how to help you. It is what it is. Mr. Jeezy, what's up, Mr. Jeezy? Z, I remember AJ dropping a touchdown in the Rams game. All right, so now it's all on AJ Brown. Come to the center of the room, Zandy. I'm in the center of the room, original Philly. JJ Irvin. I love people who tell you how to be a fan. JJ Irvin, find you a different team. All right, JJ Irvin, I'll make sure my fandom is predicated on your approval. I will make sure next time I decide how to be a fan, I will make sure I call up JJ Irvin and I say, hey, JJ, I want to do this as a fan. Can I get the approval from you to do this, or does this make me a bad fan? Okay, JJ, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'll make sure I do that, JJ. Shut the fuck up. Stupid ass comment. Stupid ass comment. If you're gonna chirp at me, make a good comment. A dumbass comment. We always get those. B Pumper says they hold their hero to a low standard, and I guess the standard is the standard. I do agree with that, Pumper. Like, there's a lot of people who are like, Jalen Hurts is top 5. And I was one of those people. I was one of those people all offseason. All right. But if you're going to say that, shouldn't you hold him to top 5 standards? Shouldn't you hold him to top 5 standards? We don't. He throws for 90 yards in a playoff game, and everyone's like, "Ooh, it was Jalen and AJ Brown. It was not the defense." No, fucking had a trash game. Didn't do what a top 5 quarterback would do. All right? But can't bring that up. Here's Carl. Your channel has one note. It's always the quarterback's fault, not the system. You must be here for what, a week? This might be your first week here, Carl. Carl, how long you been watching the channel, Carl? How long you been watching the channel here, Carl? 4 days? 5 days? Now, what the fuck are you talking about? Always a dude named Carl. Classic. Gorbit says, Big Z, do you think the increased autonomy by Hurts is hurting the offense? He seems to talk to Patullo on the sidelines more than any OC in the past. Is he influencing the play calling? Well, look, Gorbit, last year we had Kellen Moore. Everybody complained about the passing offense and the route trees last year with Kellen Moore. Same commentary this year on Kevin Patullo. I mean, at some point, there's a common denominator. It's Nick and it's Jalen. Who do you want to blame? If you look at their histories, Jalen has never been a huge passer of the football in any level of his career. Nick Sirianni was the architect of an offense that averaged 380 yards per game, or at least an influence in and involved in an offense that averaged 380 yards per game before he came to Philly and Jalen Hurts was his quarterback. However you want to frame it up. I mean, the truth is the truth. Nick Sirianni was a part of a team that passed the ball at will in Indianapolis. I understand they're two very different quarterbacks, but the only two common denominators with the offense every year here are Jalen and Nick. So if you want to blame Nick, that's fine. Bring the proof and prove your claim. If you want to blame Jalen, bring your proof and prove the claim. I know it's not Indy. That's the point, Philly, because the quarterback has the offense he wants to run. He doesn't like to throw the ball over the middle of the field. He doesn't. He never has. Never has. Do you think Phillip Rivers in 2020 wasn't throwing the ball over the middle of the field? I mean, you know how many people have sent me the route tree from George Pickens this week? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's because the guy who's been in the NFL coach as an offensive coach can't draw up a play over the middle of the field. Or it's because the quarterback, who doesn't like to throw over the middle of the field, has the offense running routes to the outside where he likes to throw. I mean, holy shit, guys. It can't be put any easier for you. It can't be put any easier for you. The quarterback is running the offense that we want to run for him. This is what he likes to run. When it's successful, nobody says a fucking thing. Nobody says a thing. In 22, when A.J. Brown had 1,500 yards all on the outside, nobody cared. Now it doesn't work, and everyone's like, oh, my God, it's the coaching staff. Stop. It's not. It's not. I tweeted up a clip yesterday of Nick Saban talking about players over plays. You can whine about play calling all you want. That is not the number one problem with the football team. It's not. It's not. It was the same thing last year with Kellen Moore, who, by the way, was the architect of 2 number 1 overall offenses in Dallas. Could he not draw up a play over the middle of the field either? Was he not capable of better route concepts either? I mean, come on, man. Jalen is a great quarterback, and he does a lot of great things. Jalen also has things that he doesn't do well. And some of the reasons our offense is the way it is because of the quarterback. It's okay to say. It doesn't mean it's not even a knock on him. It's just analyzing what it is as we are today. Xander, the narrative, he doesn't throw the ball. I never said he doesn't throw the ball downfield. He does. That's one of his best traits, is that he has a good deep ball. He doesn't throw the ball across the middle of the field. He doesn't like to. It's not his strong suit. It's not his strong suit. So for anybody sending me George Pickens route trees, expecting that to be the Eagles' offense and blaming it all on Kevin Patullo, I just don't think that's where the blame lies if that's your problem with the offense. That's not my problem with the offense. I don't care that they're not running routes across the middle of the field. I'm used to it. It's what they did last year when we won the Super Bowl. Nobody cares. You know, it's not the number one problem. I promise it's not. Right now, the running game is our number one problem, and the offensive line is our number one problem, because that's the way we've built to succeed and win as a football team and as an offense. So right now, if you don't have that, you're either going to have to pivot or you're going to have to get those things working again. You know? Royal Philly says, You just said he doesn't throw ints because he doesn't throw the ball downfield. No, I did say that, and I can probably rescind that comment and more frame it around. He doesn't put the ball into tight windows. He doesn't. As much as other quarterbacks. He holds on to the football longer, and he has he hesitates when he throws and has to get the ball into a tight window. That's why we're struggling against zone defenses right now. Roll Philly. That's why. Go listen to Brian Baldinger break it down. He's been on 10 podcasts this week. Go type in Brian Baldinger, Eagles offense. Brian Baldinger talks about the Eagles. He talks about the quarterback in every single one of them. He doesn't like to put the ball in the tight windows. It is what it is. He's more risk averse. John's been talking about it for years, as Keith Johnson points out in the chat. It is what it is. JJ, my fan approval guy. Am I okay to say that as a fan of the Eagles? No? Okay, good. Exactly, not Niall. It's Niall. This isn't even trying to criticize the guy. This is literally just talking about objective skill sets. It's not his skill set. It is not his skill set. He's not an anticipation, tight window, zone beating thrower. He's not. He's a versatile, off schedule, great running quarterback, dual threat who can make plays downfield and make plays off schedule. He doesn't run the offense from the pocket. I don't know why. Sometimes it's dude, I get it. I probably say some shit that I'm way wrong on. I'm sure I probably do every single show. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be right about everything. But sometimes you just why are we going back and forth on things that are just objectively true? What is the solution? We run the ball better. Offensive line's got to get healthy, got to run the football better. And if they don't, and if they have to adjust a little bit, then Jalen's going to have to try and, be more effective from the pocket and throw the ball more successfully. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Question then is, do you believe he's capable of that skill set, or is that who he is? I mean, I don't know. He's 6 years in the NFL now, riding the bench. He's 6 years in the NFL now. The team shifted to this because, for whatever reason. Every time they put him in high volume throwing situations, the team doesn't like the way it looks for whatever reason. Turnovers, whatever it might be. Solution is get the ball. Well, I do think Steven, I'm not saying take the ball out of his hands. He's the quarterback, but I do think he's got to get the ball out quicker. And I think he's struggling with that a lot less about his skill set and a lot more about the coaches and what they beat into his head. Don't turn the ball over. 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 Eventually, you tell a quarterback who's responsible for throwing the football that so many fucking times, you're going to swipe their legs out from under him, and he's not going to have confidence to throw the football. I think that's a part of it. SMD checking in. What's up, SMD? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you in here. Hey, Zander. Hope all is well. You as well, SMD. I love you. Didn't Jalen say that the offense will look like he wants it to? Precisely that, SMD. He did. But don't say that to these people in the chat. They don't want to hear that. They believe it's all on Kevin Patullo and all on Nick Sirianni. And, it wasn't verbatim, but very close. And I'll give you the verbatim. It's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look. That's what he said. But apparently, everybody thinks it's all the coaches. It's all the coordinator, and it's all the coaches. Kellen Moore was responsible for a pass-happy offense every single year. He comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, there's no pass-happy offense. He leaves the Philadelphia Eagles, he's back to a pass-happy offense. Guys, it's the skill set of the quarterback. It's okay. Oh, my God. Who said he's the worst quarterback ever? Man, you guys really are emotional. Where am I straw manning, Original Philly? It's a bullshit comment because you don't want to face the reality. It's okay. We got a great quarterback who's capable of a lot of things. He does a ton of things for this team and for this franchise and for the city. And he has. And he deserves a lot of credit for him. He's not perfect. And when the offense struggles to run the ball, Right now, he's struggling. I know in 22 you can say we had Miles Sanders who stunk. We ran an RPO. We don't run the RPO anymore like that. Wilfredo, what's up, my guy? Here's Jason. What's up, Jason? They need to play more rollout and screens, and for sure we will have 1 or 2 minimum big plays. Plus, Barkley needs to run to the outside other than through the middle. I agree with that. They're not giving Barkley. But look, to Barkley's point, I mean, again, you guys are going to get mad at me for saying it. Barkley said it. Last year, they were predictable. Last year, they executed better. Nobody cared that they were predictable because nobody could stop Saquon Barkley. Now they can stop Saquon Barkley because the offensive line's not as good. So when the plays don't work, everybody goes to the predictability. I understand why. It makes a lot of sense. But again, you can be predictable. If you don't execute, it doesn't matter. If you're not predictable, you have predictability and you have execution. If you're predictable and you execute, doesn't matter. You're going to be successful. If you're not predictable and you execute, doesn't matter. You're going to be successful. If you're not predictable and you still don't execute, it doesn't matter. Notice something. The most important thing in this equation is the execution. Offensive line's not executing. Saquon Barkley's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. That's the problem with the inside zone plays. A lot more than running inside zone. Now, should they switch it up because it's not working? I completely agree with. That's a different conversation. They're not switching. They're not making the adjustments needed to make. Brandon Lewis says, my fear has become true. This fan base has become Jalen Hurts fans, not Eagles fans. You know, Brandon, it's always funny because they're all the same people who rip into Mark Holmes every week for being a Dak Prescott fan. Oh, well, Dak played good this week. Well, listen to all of you guys. We're the 30th ranked offense in football. If the Dallas Cowboys had the 30th ranked offense in football, do you think you would be in here ragging on Cowboys fans saying, oh my gosh, your quarterback stinks? You would. Jalen Hurts has some responsibility for the 30th ranked offense in football, whether you want to give him it or not. Again, I'm an Eagles fan, you know? I love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has brought more success to this team than any other quarterback in my lifetime. In spades, it's not even close. Doesn't mean he's perfect. Here's Roll Philly. Zander, Jalen Hurts came out of the Rams game and said this isn't the offense he wanted. But to your question earlier, I think touchdown interception quantifies good quarterback play more than just passing yards. I agree, but touchdown interception is also not a perfect indicator. Again, quarterbacks, Roll Philly. Does Joe Burrow have more opportunity to have more interceptions and more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts? Walkhart, I'll get to your super chat. Give me a second, brother. A quarterback who has an offense like that is obviously going to have more instances where there can be touchdowns and there can be picks. Right? If you push the ball or you have an offense that relies less on those things, you're going to have less of those outcomes. Less touchdowns, as evidenced by Jalen Hurts' touchdown numbers through the air, and less interceptions, as evidenced by his interception numbers. Damn, this shit's not that hard. I don't understand what people are missing here. Let me go to Walkout before he has an aneurysm. How the F do you expect someone to grow if you give them a ceiling? Both Allen and Lamar got opportunity to develop. They weren't. Walkout, you're not saying something I disagree with now. I agree. But don't blame me for that, dude. Now, if you want to criticize the coaching staff and say they took too much off Jalen Hurts' plate, they stopped developing him as a thrower of the football, they stopped developing him as a passer, and they stopped utilizing him properly, or at least pushing him to get to his best version, that I completely agree with. It's very clear what they've done. They have taken the ball more out of Hurts' hands, and that has hindered his development. 100%. Yeah, Christopher, I mean, $60 million and 2 wide receivers who are both on pace for under 1,000 each. Yeah, we're not passing the ball well. We're not doing much well on offense right now. That's why we're the 30th ranked offense in football. Again, you want to blame Hurts, you want to blame Saquon, you blame the offensive line, you want to blame, I guess people want to blame Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni over and over again. You know, It's got to go somewhere, guys. I'm of the belief everybody has to be accountable. Nick, Kevin, and Jalen Hurts. Top 3. I'd probably put Jalen Hurts top number 1 because it's more on players than it is on coaches. Ask any great coach in the world. That's the reality. If you don't want to have those conversations, it is what it is. But we are coming off of 2 losses, and we are on the 30th ranked offense in football. You know, our defense is struggling right now. Our defense went through a lot of change in the offseason. Our offense did not. At what point do the people who only want to come in here and dispute my takes on Jalen Hurts, at what point are you going to expect your offense to carry a little bit of the water? Their offensive line is fine in pass blocking. They're not good in run blocking right now. Okay? They're not good in run blocking right now. They're fine in pass blocking. Pass blocking is not the issue right now. Jalen has plenty of time to throw. He's plenty of time to throw. It's the run blocking that is really struggling right now. They're not getting the push at the line of scrimmage. They're not creating the holes that are there. Saquon's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage more often than he ever has. I think it's like 37% he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage. Think about that. 37% of the runs, Saquon's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. That's really bad offensive line play. I agree. I've been critical of them too. Run blocking is bad. Pass blocking is fine. All right. Nobody's saying to trade her. Oh my gosh. Some of you guys are just, it's like the extreme spectrums are the only place to live. Here's Roll Philly. He's pushing back a lot today, which is fine. Zander, so when Jalen comes out and tells you we need to be more aggressive and not play to lose, why do we assume that is what Hurts wants? Well, Roll Philly, I actually think you have a topic here that's a lot, that might be more deeper than we're thinking. Because SMD is correct. Jalen was at the podium and he said the offense is going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look. Now, I put a grain of salt on all those things because I know how the Eagles PR staff operates. They're beating into Jalen's head what to say before he goes up there on the podium. After the game, though, you're right, Roll Philly. In a moment where Bob Lang can't get in his ear and the PR staff can't dictate what he says, Pam Oliver, who Jalen has a propensity to open up to Pam Oliver, he likes Pam. He's always talks to Pam openly. He said, we got to stop playing this way. So it is an interesting point. Maybe Jalen doesn't want to play this way either. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's a fair comment. Maybe it's all the players who don't want to play this way. That is a fair thing to discuss. Which Jalen was lying, or which Jalen is more honest? The one after the game or the one at the podium? You know, Toth sucks. He does. He does. All right. Yeah, he does. He does contradict himself a little bit. It's all right. We all do. Theodore said, starts with the players and ends with the players. But don't tell Philly fans that. Latham, what's up, brother? Hurts has missed wide open guys this year that could have won us games. Can't blame coaching for that. I agree. Yeah, it's so funny, right? We're all blaming the coaches. You know, and again, I'm not even mad at Jalen for this because I'm out of the belief that a quarterback's going to make every single throw, even the ones that are there and are easy. You're a human being, all right? You're going to miss a throw. I get it. Sometimes not all throws are created equal. Some throws are more impactful and important than others. I agree with that. I'm not going to crush Hurts for missing Devontae Smith. All right. It is what it is. He normally makes that throw. He does. He's a great deep ball thrower. He missed Devontae there. Bad execution, but I'm not going to crush Jalen for that. I know it sucked, but I'm not going to crush him for it because it happens. But let's just live in a world where he completes that pass. Is anybody bitching about the execution and the offensive play calling? I mean, that was a busted coverage. Devontae Smith didn't have a defender 10 yards within him. You know, if he makes that pass, nobody's sitting here complaining about the coordinator all day. You're not. It's execution. It's execution. It's execution. It's execution. John beat me over the head with it over and over again. Now I'm going to beat you over the head with it. It's execution. It's execution. It's fucking execution. If they execute the offense, nobody gives a rat's ass about the coordinator. I promise you. Just like last year when we complained about the passing game and then we ran our way to a Super Bowl. Nobody cared that Kellen Moore's passing game was 31st in pro football because they executed in the running game. I mean, holy shit. Kimberly says, "Z, one common denominator is Hurts. It's reality." And Kimberly, this is where I'll also say, we can win with Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying that these problems are insurmountable and we're fucked. I don't know why people think I'm saying that. Right now, we're the 30th ranked offense in football, and we're coming off of 2 losses. So he has to be better to try and get us back on track, especially if the offensive line is not going to be what they were last year. If the offensive line can't block as good and we can't run the same, the only other guy that can save us is Jalen Hurts. But at the end of the day, we can still win with Jalen Hurts. The offense is struggling right now. We won a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. We went 20-2 with Jalen Hurts. Nobody is saying you can't win with Jalen Hurts. But there is a type of way you have to win with the quarterback. That's okay. All right? So JB3, let's talk about this. Please, everybody, check in on this comment, on this topic here that JB3 is bringing up. JB3 says, "Z, I agree. 90% is execution. But Z, I also know you have seen the route trees. They are simply terrible and repetitive." All right, so JB3, do you believe the route trees are bad because the offensive coordinator and the head coach are incapable of running or calling routes that are more complex? Or do you believe the route trees are designed and created for the strengths of the quarterback? Which one of those two things makes more sense to you? Which one of those two things makes the more sense to you? Because you're right, the route tree is not pretty. There's no doubt. It's not a pretty route tree. Now, they're not designed by the front office original Philly. At least I don't think so. That's what I mean. Like, I don't, guys, I'm not even trying to say, I'm not even up here trying to bash the quarterback right now. I did that on Tuesday or Monday or whatever day I did, all right? I'm not even up here trying to do that. But Jalen has a skill set, and Jalen has a certain way he likes to play. Them not calling passes over the middle, I don't think it's because 2 guys who are coaches in the NFL don't know how to call a route over the middle for Devontae and AJ. I'm sorry, I just don't. The route trees were the same last year with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's route trees do not look like that with his other teams. I mean, the quarterback has a skill set. You build an offense around the quarterback. The route trees are weak and they're not overly creative. I think because Jalen has a preference on where he likes to throw the ball. He likes to throw the ball outside the numbers. He's more comfortable throwing the ball outside the numbers. There's less tips. There's less deflections. There's less tight windows outside the numbers. There is. That's also why the interception numbers are so low. So you have to factor that in. Roll Philly, you keep bringing up the interception numbers to me. Where do you have more interceptions? Middle of the field or outside the numbers? Right? We're throwing the ball mostly outside the numbers. Naturally, you have less interceptions because you just have less of an opportunity. What was the route tree in Super Bowl 59? Dak, I'd have to go and look at it. I know Devontae had a deep pass down the middle. I agree. Roll Philly. It's exactly what I said. There's 2 common denominators, Nick and Jalen. Nick has tried to instill his offense every year, and he's had to be forced to stop every year. Okay, Roll Philly. So we're finding some common ground here. So why is Nick trying to instill his offense, and why is every year he's being forced to stop? You want stats. Jalen Hurts, second in quarterback rating from the pocket. That's an excellent number, Carl. He deserves credit for that. There's no doubt. Now, I wonder how those stats are a little bit skewed based on, how much he's in the pocket as compared to other quarterbacks and stuff like that. But that's an excellent stat. There's no doubt. That's phenomenal. I'd like to see it translate to a little bit more success, but because it's not a good offense, yeah, I guess. Roll Philly. It was a good offense in Indy. It was a really good offense in Indy. They were top 10 in the league every year. I think they were 10th, 8th, and 12th. Something like that in his 3 years as OC. I get it. Phillip Rivers, different style. I understand. I'm just saying. I don't think Nick is like the stooge who has like a nail in his head, who's like a dumbass. I really don't. I don't. Is he the best? No, I don't think he's the best. Is he overly creative? No, I don't think so. Is he really impressive? I wouldn't give him that. Is he a complete dumbass who's incapable of having a decent offense? I don't think so. That was Frank. I know it was Frank. I know it wasn't his offense, and I know he didn't call plays, but you're speaking like he's incapable or like he didn't live through that. Frank Reich came on this fucking program. Frank Reich was on this channel 5 times talking about how smart and how good Nick is on offense. If you don't want to listen to me, then listen to Frank, the guy you're giving credit for the Indy offense. If Frank tells you he's a good coordinator and a good offensive mind, do you not believe him? I mean, I'm not saying, again, I don't think Nick is that great. I don't think he's the number one reason our offense looks the way it does. They also said all offseason Kellen was going to make the passing game and make it more dynamic, word for word. Jason, I said that too, and I was dead wrong. Kellen didn't do shit for the passing game. We were 31st in pro football. Dank says if Jalen was 6'4", I think, me too, Dank. I do think, look, naturally, right? You have massive offensive linemen in front of you. Now, my one problem with it, Dank, is like, what's the discrepancy? Because Drew Brees was pretty short. Baker Mayfield's pretty short. Kyler Murray's pretty short. I don't think Baker Mayfield's taller than Jalen Hurts. Underdog says the difference between Smitty's route tree and Pickens' route tree looks like there's graphs and they show a healthy brain compared to one with CTE. I agree. Underdog. Why though? Why do the routes look like that, Underdog? I know you know. Why do the routes look like that? I agree. They're starkly different. Bryce Young. I met Bryce Young. By the way, I'll let you know who I'm rooting for. I know it's kind of, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but a guy I met personally who was super, super cool in person and definitely a humble dude when you meet him is Caleb Williams. When I met Caleb Williams, he was like confident but humble at the same time. Because I remember when I talked to him, he won the College Football Player of the Year when we were producing the Maxwell Awards. And that was when he was at USC, and he still had another year until the draft. So I remember talking to him, and he was super cool to me. I mean, he dapped me up. We talked for a while. We talked about the NFL. We talked about the Eagles. Talked about Jalen Hurts. We talked about a bunch of shit. And I was talking to Caleb, and I remember him saying to me, because he was so humble, and I'm like, damn, he's a real humble dude. I never thought that based on the persona you see on TV. He is a little feminine, but that's all right. He said to me at the end, which made me see how confident he was. He said to me at the end, watch, next year I'm going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft. And that was cool. That was a cool moment because he was like super humble. And then he was at the end, he's like, I'm going to be the number one pick next year. And he was. I'll never forget that. So I kind of root for Caleb. I like him. I met Jalen at the Maxwell's too. I got a picture with Jalen Hurts. Jalen's a cool dude. I mean, Jalen is exactly like he is. He's very similar to what he is, at the podium. I know he's obviously says certain things at the podium that are much different, but let me see if I can find the picture. I've showed you guys the picture of me and Jalen. Where was that damn thing? Fuck was that casino? What's that casino? Oh, Mohegan Sun, I think it was at. Yeah, Mohegan, PA. I don't know where the picture is. There's the picture of Jacob on the screen producing the Maxwells. But yeah, Bryce Young's young. I met Bryce Young at that event. I met Jordan Davis at that event. I met Nick Sirianni. I met Big Dom. I've met Brandon Graham many times, but Brandon Graham was there. Who else was there that year? Jordan Davis. I told you I met him. There's a lot of old NFL guys who are a part of that too, because their awards are named after them, like Sean Alexander, former Seahawks running back. He's dope. Brian Westbrook's always there every year. So a lot of good stuff there. It was a cool event. I'll get to all supers now. Walkhart says, I truly feel like Nick is a product of his players to a degree. Jalen at Oklahoma looked more decisive as a passer and runner. Yeah, it's tough to compare the Oklahoma offense, man. I mean, Oklahoma is fucking, what were they, Big 12, dude? Does anybody play defense in the Big 12? Seriously. Walker, I agree. Jalen was a good passer at Oklahoma, but, dude, the Big 12. Watch the Big 12. There is like literally no defense. Like remember CeeDee Lamb in the Big 12? Even before Jalen Hurts showed up, CeeDee Lamb would catch a pass and just there'd be 8 yards between him and the nearest defender. So it's not a perfect comp. I mean, tight windows in the NFL are much tighter, much smaller, much tougher defenses, much better players. Curtis says, Xander, one thing is for sure, after this last week, there will never be any signed Jays coming here. I don't give a shit. What the fuck do you think I want? A pair of signed Jays? I don't give a shit. I don't idolize athletes. That's cool. I don't care at all. I mean, I met Jalen Hurts. It's like meeting another man. I don't give a shit. He bleeds like I bleed. He shits like I shit. He pisses like I piss. It is what it is. Here's Jason 18. Kellen changed his whole offense last year to the same Hurts offense. Should have shown everyone it's the quarterback. He has to do it his way or he can't do it. It's that simple. They scaled back on purpose. I agree, Jason. That's what they did. And I don't think it has to be even framed up as negative as you framed it up. I don't. I just think the quarterback has a skill set, and running an offense that has these crazy passing concepts over the middle of the field is not something that he's gonna thrive. TMIJ, why? You don't shit and piss, Kimberly? What are you, a robot? You call it TMI, I call it natural. I call it regular human activities. Kimberly, what? You don't shit? You don't piss? Okay, Kimberly. If you call it TMI, so be it. I don't think it is. Oh, Dank, what's up with you always crying about religion in this chat? Dank, please shut up about religion. I love you, Dank. You've been here for a long time, but whenever you come in here and blaspheme, the name of Jesus, I'm not going to like it. Please, shut up. Here's Jason. I think we got that one, right? No, we didn't. Jason says they need to play more rollout and screens, and for sure we will have one. Oh, no, I did get that one. Appreciate it. Everyone is unique. I know everyone is unique. I agree. I mean, that's part of it. That's part of what we're talking about right now, Theodore. All right, here's a good dang comment. If you think a girl is too good for you, then just think she has explosive. All right. That's funny. Kimberly, shitless Kimberly. Kimberly is the only human to ever grace the planet. All right. Vulnerable, I think that's the biggest thing, dude. I really do. I do. I think he says, you think we get the run game figured out soon? I mean, look, I'm a little concerned about that, Vulnerable, because we're so used to the offensive line dominating. And, dude, they're beat up right now, right? I mean, they are. They're just beat up. I'm not trying to – they're just beat up. They are. I got a lot of confidence in them. I don't think it's a stout thing. I think the offensive line is just beat the frick up, man. Landon Dickerson is beat up. Cam Jurgens, I hope he gets back to the same. I'm worried about Cam Jurgens long term. I really am. I'm worried about Cam Jurgens long term. He's beat up. Tyler Steen has been fine in the pass protection, but he doesn't provide that. Mekhi Becton last year, he moved the line of scrimmage. That's how big and dominant he was. He moved the line of scrimmage. Tyler Steen just doesn't do that. I don't think Tyler Steen's been bad, but I think you've lost that level of good. So if you were up here, if here's the middle, and here is where you were last year, and here is bad, I don't think you got worse. I just think you came back to here. I think you came back to the middle of the pack. And like when you don't have that big bruiser in the running game, the holes don't look the same. Becton decleated people last year, dude. How many times did we watch Saquon Barkley hit a hole last year behind Mekhi Becton, and the defensive lineman couldn't even get a hand on him, let alone an arm or a shoulder or trying to get the arm tackle? They couldn't even touch him. I mean, sometimes Saquon got 10 yards up the field before he got touched. You don't get that. You don't get that this year. So I'm optimistic the run game will get better, but this is kind of why vulnerable. I've been a little doom and gloom on the offense this week, because if they can't get it figured out, what's this offense going to look like? What is the offense going to look like? What are they going to do? What's going to be their bread and butter? Do they go back to the RPO? RPO is a different style of play. RPO doesn't rely on the quarterback having to dissect post-snap the coverages of the defense. That's why Jalen Hurts was so good at it, because you can make a split-second decision based on what the defensive line does, and then you can choose where to go with the football. It's very structured, in a weird way. But when you don't have the RPO and you're under center or even in shotgun running typical pass plays, you got to dissect the defense post-snap, pre-snap and post-snap. People love to say pre-snap. Pre-snap's a big thing too. You know what else is another big thing? Post-snap. Ask Vic Fangio. That's why in his quarters coverage, he runs so many different looks pre-snap to confuse quarterbacks. Why do you think, John always says, when you have a young quarterback, I like Vic Fangio, because he's going to show man and he's going to drop back into the quarters coverage he runs. Cover 4, cover 6, cover 8, all those different coverages Vic does. So it's post-snap too. And if you can't dissect what the defense does in a split second, you're not going to get through your progressions. And if your first read is taken, that's when you see Jalen bail out of the pocket. It's tough. Stoners. I'm not even going to read that. Last year, we ran on third down with confidence to a point where offensive drives felt inevitable. Now it feels only inevitable as a 3-and-out. Predictable. I agree. Dank, and I think that's every quarterback in football. I think that's literally, forget quarterback. I think that's every player in the league. I think that's legitimately every player in the league. SMD, I think it's going to be Carson. I think it's going to be Carson. Exactly, Theodore. That's where we're struggling right now. Hurts holds on to the football. He's an off-schedule quarterback. And by the way, Theodore, our offensive line in pass protection right now is not bad. Please. I know their offensive line's not dominating in the run game. They are not bad in pass protection right now. Please. And Theo, I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm just saying there's this like idea out there that the offensive line is the reason for everything. Dude, the offensive line in pass protection right now is perfectly fine. Jalen has 3-4 seconds to throw on every play. I mean, when you hold the ball longer than most quarterbacks, he's the 5th lowest in the league in terms of time to throw. It's going to look uglier, guys. I mean, pass protection is not a problem. When you hold on to the football, it looks worse. Baker Mayfield, even Wentz, Mahomes, Stafford, Rodgers, these dudes, boom, they drop back, they fling the ball instantly. Jalen doesn't do that, so it kind of compounds, It kind of compounds, but Does Wentz finish the game? I don't know. He does his taxes back there. That's hilarious. That's just another narrative created by Jalenites and their endless attempts to deflect blame. They do a lot of underdog. I can't even have like a regular conversation about it. It's almost like the quarterback is, has zero deficiencies anywhere, or else you're a hater. It's like, what? Bro, every quarterback has deficiencies. Every last one of them. Some have less than others. Roll Philly says, you tell me Nick got polished on one of the best quarterbacks in Rivers, and Rivers had one of the worst years. He had 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions with 65% completion percentage. They had Taylor to a running back. Yeah, he was also throwing to fucking, Zach Pascal. I know he had T.Y. Hilton that year too. Who was his tight end? Mo Alley Cox, I think. Dude, let's just do this for a second here. 2020 NFL offense ranks. Let's pull it up. I'll pull it up for everybody to look at together. Let's look at it together, everybody. Here we go. Offensive leaders 2020 regular season. The Colts, right here, 378 yards per game for the Indianapolis Colts. I don't even think the number one offense in football right now has that. No, not for postseason. 2025 regular season, the top offense in the league has 387. 2020 regular season, they were like the 10th offense in the league, and they had 380 per game. They had 6,000 total yards. Their passing yards that year were 4,053. 253 passing yards per game. I mean, all right, it wasn't perfect for that year. Wasn't perfect by Phillip Rivers standard. Phillip Rivers is probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. Go to the 2019 regular season. Same thing, 360 yards. No, where were they? That was the Eagles, LOL. Worse this year, 327 yards per game. 2018. Colts, 386 per game. I mean, they had a good offense. They moved the football. By the way, how about the 24 postseason? 360 per game for the Eagles offense. Still, for anybody saying Jalen Hurts had the greatest playoffs of his life, remember all the people in here who just had a fucking aneurysm because I said Jalen Hurts played 2 bad playoff games last year, which he did. We had 156 passing yards per game in the playoffs last year. So, like, contrary to popular belief, we didn't win the games through the air. We did it. All right. We had 156 passing yards per game and 205 rushing yards per game in the playoffs. In the playoffs. In the playoffs. Holy shit. Now this year, let's scroll to the very bottom. Here we are, 30th in pro football, 274 yards per game, which is pitiful. 179 passing yards per game, and 95 rushing yards per game. I know yards don't mean shit. I'm just looking at how much they're moving the ball, Roll Philly. And they do mean something, Roll Philly. Come on. They don't mean everything, but they mean something. I can't with these comments, man. I'm sorry. I can't with these comments. Original Philly, really? He says, but did Phillip Rivers win the Super Bowl? Original Philly, did Jalen Hurts win the Super Bowl last year alone? Is that like, are you under some belief that it's not a team game? Are you under some belief that a Super Bowl is a quarterback accomplishment exclusively? You need a fucking team, Original Philly. We had the best team in football last year. Not the best quarterback in football. The best team in football. The number one defense in football. The number one running game in football. Dude, seriously, is your only way to quantify offensive success a Super Bowl? Dude, that is so stupid. That is so elementary, man. That line of thinking is so elementary. LOL, I'm turning into Sills because, okay. Get a fucking grip, dude. Get a grip. Come on, dude. You're right. Jalen won the Super Bowl last year, and it has nothing to do with the defense, nothing to do with Saquon Barkley, nothing to do with anybody else, right? It's a complete Jalen Hurts accomplishment, and Phillip Rivers should be scolded because he never had that type of personal accomplishment. I mean, I'm not even trying to I'm not even trying to go over the top here, and you guys are just saying shit that it's so stupid. Roll Philly says, is your only way to quantify offensive success with passing? Roll Philly, how do you quantify it, big dog? How the fuck do you quantify it? We just got beat by the New York Giants. We couldn't throw the ball. We couldn't run the ball, and we're the 30th offense in football. And we just lost 2 straight games to the Broncos and the Giants. And we won the first 4 games because the defense and special teams, your star fucking receiver said the same thing. We won because of defense and special teams. You tell me, how do you quantify offensive success? How? What's your response? How do you quantify it? I mean, do we watch the same fucking games? Are we watching the same football team? I seriously don't know. Sometimes I think people live in an alternate reality and they watch a different league than I watch. There's like 2 versions of the Eagles. Like, what are you fucking talking about? The offense, take passing yards out of it. Take yards out of it for a second. By every fucking metric, the offense blows. Everyone. Take passing yards out. Every metric, they stink. Like, what are you so hyper about the passing yards for? When you can't run, passing yards help. Yes, Roll Philly. Yes. When you don't have the number 1 offensive line, when you don't have the number 1 running back, when you're not on pace for 25-03 in the running game, passing yards help. Yes. I mean, what the fuck? Sometimes I feel like I'm beating myself over the head with a baseball bat. Or I think that'd be more fun. Oh, my God. Yeah, he threw for 280. Did that offense look good to you? Holy shit, dude. He threw for 280 last week, right? So you're saying he had a good game? I'm fine. I'll get hyped up. Original Philly says, we're sending you lots of love and light, my brother. No, you're not, Original Philly. Walk hard with a look. A guy with a fake name with a picture of Jalen Hurts as his profile picture says it's okay to be wrong. Okay, Lockhart, we're 30th in offense. We can't run and we can't pass right now. You tell me. Where am I wrong? Is the quarterback actually playing like an MVP or something that I'm missing? Lord Lubo, I don't disagree with that. Lord Lubo, I don't disagree with that. Good question, Dank. Let's talk about that. Who plays tonight? I can't with this offense talk. I mean, we stink in every metric, literally every metric, and people are having a hard time believing that our offense stinks. Walkhart says, I'm not a Jalen Hurts stan. I can admit when he plays bad, but you're delusional if you think this is majority on him. I don't even think I ever said the majority is on him. When the team is set up like this, and Walkhart, you can no longer run the way we have, something's got to give. You got to throw the ball better. You got to use your $60 million of receivers. You have to do something differently. We can't run the way we did last year. But you didn't prove anything wrong, Roll Philly. Nothing. You didn't prove anything wrong. Tell me what you proved wrong. Okay, he has low passing yards and maybe they don't matter. He had high passing yards and they don't matter. How do you quantify the rest of the offensive statistics that say that Jalen Hurts is having a fucking trash year? Holy shit. I'm not having a good day. I don't think you're having a very good day either. You'll do it. Are you an Eagles fan or are you just a Jalen Hurts fanboy? You got a fucking fathead on your wall of the guy. Offense stinks. Like, where did you prove me wrong on anything other than saying passing yards on everything? Oh, thanks, fucking Captain Obvious. That Jalen can throw for a lot of yards and it doesn't matter. Dude, you're leaving out the context of the games. We were losing to the Giants the damn near the whole fucking game. They doubled up on us. When you're losing a football game, Roll Philly, you throw the ball more. No? Or was that one going over your head too? Deshae says, go change your man pot. All right, Deshae. All right, Deshae. Thank you, SM. It's like simple. We scored 17 points for Deshae. SMD, it's even worse. We scored 17 points versus the Giants. That defense fucking stinks. Their secondary. Who's that guy that made the pick? Flat? Anybody ever heard of that guy? I do actually have a Hurts spotlight. That doesn't surprise me even a little bit. You and Roll Philly. You guys like pet that thing before you go to bed at night. You give yourself like a little bobble, one bobble, and I can go to bed happy. I'll go to dreamland and dream of Jalen Hurts throwing all over the yard. Xander, at this point, I don't even attempt to walk through the Jalenite excuse maze. I just make fun of him. Better for the blood pressure. Yeah, underdog, but I got a different job than you, my friend. I got a show to do. I got to talk about this football team. You know, I got to engage with the great community that we have. Even all the people I'm chirping at, I do love them all, including you, Original Philly, including you, Roll Philly Dogs, even though I think you're so fucking delusional, your head is spinning. All right? All right, I'm getting out of here. I didn't realize it was 11:30 already. Hopefully the offense is better. Hopefully the offense gets better so all these Delulu land people. Oh, I got you, Lucius. Give me 1 sec, man. Uh-oh. Look here. Look at this graph. Dan, now I'm going to watch this after I get off the show because I'm on the show. All right, but please stop denying your eyeballs. Dan Orlovsky did a segment today, and it's titled, What Exactly is Wrong with the Eagles? It's on Twitter. Go check it out if you want. This is a graph of Jalen Hurts' completions this year. So for all the idiots telling me, oh, he's got no interceptions. Look at how much we're throwing the ball down the field. When you throw the ball at the line of scrimmage over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you have a less chance to turn the football over. I'll take a pack of Marlboro shit. What kind though? Marlboro Reds, 27s. What do you got? That's what I mean. He's not throwing the ball, man. He's not pushing the ball downfield. Saying he doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't have interceptions is not a good metric. It's not a good metric. Philly Dawkins says it's the best segment I've seen on Philly's issues. Well, that's high praise. I'm going to watch it when I get off the air for sure. All right. Eric Long checking in. Good to see Eric. Let's get a new one here. Eric says, we couldn't get off on third down too, Z. They kept the drive going and kept their D fresh. Yeah, we're the second worst team on third down. You don't Marlboros, you get Virginia Slim. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. You couldn't get off on third down too, Z. They kept the drive going and kept their D fresh. They threw it Seven's way every third and long. Jalen isn't as good as top QBs, but he ain't this bad. Well, I agree with that. Cancer Sticks. I like that name for him. If we lose on Sunday, Z is going to crash out. Bro, HKP, I've been way too mad on the shows this week, man. I really have. I've had a lot of anger this week on the show. I don't think I've ever been this angry on the shows for as long as I've been. All right. Flex says, I don't fuck with the cancer stick. I will say this, Flex. Sometimes as a man, you got to rip a cig. You know, sometimes it is what it is. Z turned to Z-Man. Oh, Rice, is that all you got, Rice? Is that literally all you got? Whenever I say something, instead of disputing what I say, you just say, oh, you turned into Cilio. You turned into Z-Mac. No, how about my take evolve because the offense can't move the fucking football? How about that, Reyes? How about if you're going to chirp back, Reyes, don't turn into LJ. Dispute what people are saying based on fact. Prove your point, Reyes, like a man. Prove your point like a man instead of saying, oh, you're this now. Oh, you're a hater. Oh, you're that. Oh, you're ugly. Oh, you're that. Shut the fuck up. Say something with merit, Reyes. M. Reyes is now LJ. Stupid ass. You've never called me ugly because I'm objectively not ugly. That's why you haven't called me ugly. You call me Cilio, though. Look, same thing with this guy. Okay, trumped. Whatever. It's all that's it. That's what people have. They do the same thing to Cilio. They did the same thing to Underdog. I posted up a segment from Underdog who doesn't like the quarterback. And instead of someone, not one person in the comments, took what Underdog said and said, I'm going to disprove this narrative. And then hit him with fact. Not one time. This guy's an idiot. This guy's smoking a blunt while you're listening to him. This guy's stupid. He's a hater. Not one person. Not one person objectively disputed the argument. Enough with the troll and focus on my channel. All right, dude. You sent me $5 Lucius. You didn't fucking send me an $100 super chat. What do you think? I get $280 from this. Congrats, you purchased my Duncan. I'll get to it when I get to it. Holy shit, Lucius. What do you think this is? Lucius Sports? Holy moly. Why are we in a big panic? Good teams sometimes go through this. The Tom Brady Pats was once destroyed 63-0, went on to win the Super Bowl. We're not far off. Lucius, you just begged me and dogged me and did all this shit for that take? For that shitty take? Not even a good take, Lucius. And you've had plenty of good takes here. You've had plenty of good takes here. Not one of your best. Look, another Anon. Another Anon with an emoji. Oh my God, Walmart Sports. Ah, you don't talk about what I want to hear. Shut up, you shrimp. Jalen Hurts isn't having a good year. The offense is 30th in pro football. Why are we in a big panic? Because the offensive line stinks. We can't run the football. And Jalen Hurts is struggling immensely at throwing the ball from the pocket. That's why. Right now, we don't look like a team that can go to win a Super Bowl. You need a new gig. Yeah, well, Smiley, my business has been on the air for a long time. I think you're sadly mistaken. You might not like me. That's perfectly fine. but don't speak on what I'm able to do. We had 300,000 watch hours last month, Smiley. 300,000 watch hours last month. Let's do this. Let's prove Smiley wrong. 300,000 watch hours. That's 18 million minutes. 18 million minutes of people sitting in front of their screen and watching JAKIB Sports. 18 million minutes spent watching JAKIB Sports. I think you need to sell cookies. I think you need to sell cookies, bitch ass. Lucius, not your best take. See, Xander, you can say all that and it's all true, but saying it can't, I never said it can't turn around, roll Philly. I'm just saying right now there needs to be a lot of things that get fixed for it to turn around. Offensive line being one of them, and the problem with the offensive line is more about the health of the offensive line. 18 million minutes of trash and hurts. I don't think it's been that at all. 18 million minutes of talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, good, bad, and indifferent. I know you're not used to that because Bob Lang's got every outlet in Philadelphia on a shoestring, but he doesn't have us on a shoestring. Thank you for defending the business. I appreciate that, brother. Dank's been here for a long time. All right. I agree, Brandon. That's so true. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate the support. I don't need it. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right. Love all you guys. Good Xander time today. I wish some of you guys would be able to look some of this in the face. I appreciate the fandom. I mean, I do. I'm a different type of fan. I don't need to tell myself lies in order to be a fan. I still love the Eagles. I'm loyal to the Eagles. I'm not loyal to Jalen Hurts. I'm loyal to the Eagles. And the Eagles are going to have a different quarterback soon. Maybe not soon. Maybe it's 10 years from now. Who knows? Quarterbacks change, coaches change, owners change, offensive coordinators change. Everything changes, including talk shows change. I'm a fan of the Birds. Original Philly, appreciate it. He says, I appreciate you, Xander and JAKIB. I just don't agree about what Jalen can and can't do, and it's all his fault. I'm good with that. I'm cool with you disagreeing. That's part of why JAKIB is great. All right. All right. Love all you guys, all you shrimps. Roll Philly. You need a break. Take the day off. All right. Philly. Yo, Philly tied. Philly tied. Ty Simpson can sling the rock, dude. Is he going to go number 1 overall, Philly tied? Is he going to go number 1 overall? I kind of hope he stays another year, man. I think some of these college QBs come out a little quick. Keep developing. Get game reps. Get game reps, man. Get game reps. I like Ty Simpson, though. Dude, he's got a cannon strapped to his arm. Philly Ty, he's one of those quarterbacks. You watch the ball come out, and the camera can barely keep up with the thing. It just zips out of his hands. You know who else has that in a major way? And I've said openly he's not my favorite quarterback. I don't like him that much. But he's got a cannon. Can anybody guess who's got a cannon? Not Scanner McKay. Can anybody guess who's got an absolute cannon? Played on Monday night. That should give it away. Caleb has a cannon, but that's not who I was talking about. Josh Allen has a cannon. That's not who I was talking about. That's it, Kimberly. Fucking Michael Penix, dude. That dude has a fucking laser. That dude has a laser. An absolute laser. Yeah. I mean, that ball flies. It's lefty, so it looks funny, but thing comes out quick, man. Yeah, some of his throws are you're right. Cam Ward's has a I think Cam Ward's going to be great. I hope the Titans don't ruin his career. I think Cam Ward is so capable. Oh, did he Deshae? That's good. He should stay. I hope Cam Ward doesn't get lost, and I hope they hire a good coach, and I hope they get him some weapons. I think Cam Ward has a real chance to be a really good quarterback in the league. I really do. Pietas to piss people off on the way out. Hip-hop's not going to like this one. I like Cam Ward too, Roll Philly. I think he's going to be really good, man. I hope – well, look, there's an old saying, Roll Philly. I'm sure you've heard it on this show. All right? Franchises fail quarterbacks a lot faster, a lot more often than quarterbacks fail franchises. I do worry that it's a bad franchise, man. They don't look good. Here's Pietas. McKee, 45 attempts, 30 complete, 66.7 complete percentage, 323 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 0 picks, a 117 quarterback rating. Oh! Pietas said, we've already had a spicy enough Zander time. Let's throw in some Tanner McManning stats. I'm kidding, everybody. Take a fucking breath, okay? Take a breath. Holy shit. Hip-hop, you know I love you, hip-hop. You're going to keep coming here, hip-hop, because you love the conversation. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to have the conversations in the great city of brotherly love. All right? I got another Broad Street thing in the mail. How many of these things am I going to get? How many Broad Street things? The Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia Parking Authority are going to make millions on this thing. They better fix the fucking potholes in the road. You want to send me tickets for going 26 and a 25? You better fix the fucking potholes and the street lights and the disheveled mess that is Broad Street, or any Philadelphia street for that matter. But no, they don't care about that. They just want to rob us of our money. Shitty ass PPA and the shitty ass freaking, who put those in? Speed lights. You got to be kidding me. I love all you guys. I appreciate all you guys. Roll Philly. Tough one for you today, my man. Original Philly. Hate to see it. Hip hop. Not your finest moment. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.